What is up, everybody? WTF? Welcome to Funkatopia. I hope you guys are doing perfectly well. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher. This is Jeff Page.
I love my sound effect. I miss it. I
don't, but it's okay. Man, we have a great show tonight. Wanted to come in and say hello to a bunch of folks. Kenny T, hello from Fort Lauderdale. Susie, how are you? Linda, Krista from Indiana. Go ahead, you can do a couple, Jeff.
Anna B was the first one in this time, so we appreciate you. How you doing?
Yeah, Purple Nerd Channel is always welcome in the house.
Right.
And Kim, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that last name. Anna Cherico, something like that.
That's good.
What's going on? All right. Anyways, tonight we have a great show. As you can see behind me, I have The Time right behind me. This is the original members of The Time. But Tuesday night is the official 40-year anniversary of The Time's album Ice Cream Castle, which was released this day on July 9th, 1984, if you can even friggin' wrap your head around it. It happened on this day, right here, right now, this day. So that's pretty amazing. So we are going to be talking about the album, and we have a couple special guests that are going to be dropping in that were a part of that project and, appeared in the band. They're supposed to be dropping in a little bit later on, so I'm excited about that. But to start the night, we have, oh my God, dude. Okay.
Yes.
So to start the night, we have an exceptional human being who is just incredibly gifted on the guitar by the name of Taj Farrant. And he's from Australia. Some of you may have seen various performances and clips and whatnot. If you went to the celebration, you also saw him perform at the celebration. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible. He played, a couple of times, a few times actually. He played on the main stage outside. He played inside of the State Theater. And then at Paisley Park. Yes, it was really, really cool, which is where I got this awesome friggin' shirt. Just so
I tried to get one. They slapped my hand. I was just like, come on, guys. You're killing me here.
Brandon was his father was amazing, really, really cool. I got to hang out and talk a little bit. And he says, "Hey, you want a shirt?" I was like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
So here's what we're going to do. We are going to play his performance from Australia's Got Talent when he went on and played Prince's Purple Rain. So if you've yet to ever see this clip, this is him. Taj is in the green. We can see him. Hold up. How long ago was this? 6 years ago? 7 years ago? How many years ago was this?
It's 5 years, right?
5 years ago?
5. Okay.
5 years ago is what this is from.
And we'll call this, that was the then. Then we're going to bring him on, and this will be the now, and we'll get into that. So,
and he's obviously not a kid anymore, but he is he has come so far. But we figure since you guys are huge Prince fans, let's check this video out. I may have to cut this out later due to, I don't know if Australia Got Talent has any copyright things going on Facebook here in the States or not. We're going to find out here in just a second. This is Taj Farrant and his appearance on Australia's Got Talent, and then we'll go right into the interview. Here you go. All right, I would play all the feedback and stuff that they have, but I want to kind of go into this. You guys can catch that. You can search for Taj, Taj, on Australia's Got Talent, and you can find the video and you can see all their little commentary and whatnot, which was fantastic, obviously glowing and deservedly so. But I want to go ahead and just get the interview going because this man is the real deal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Taj Farrant to the stage.
Hello.
Man,
good.
Look at you all great. Let's see. They said you were 9 years old in that package that I saw. So this is actually, you're 15 now, right?
Yeah, I'm now 15.
Yeah, so it's basically 5-6 years later. And let me just say, and I told this to your dad, Brandon, who also serves as his manager and does all kinds of promotions and stuff with Taj, and basically tours with him. His whole family pretty much tours with him. But I told him, I said, there was a couple times that I was gobsmacked by seeing somebody perform. And the first time was when in the 80s when I went to go see Huey Lewis and the News on their sports tour, and I knew nothing about who was playing there. And then there was an opening act that was coming out, and I did not know who it was. And the guy came out in his cowboy hat, and he goes, "Hello, my name is Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is my band Double Trouble." And so I got to see Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble by accident because I was there to see Huey Lewis, and I was gobsmacked. And it was the same exact experience that I had seeing you perform at Celebration.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was. I'll say this, even just watching, it was amazing thing seeing you at the Celebration doing your thing. But even going back and looking at you, 5 years ago, and at 9 years old, you're not just playing a great guitar, but you're feeling it, and we can see you can see the emotion, you can see things coming out, and it doesn't even matter how much you've practiced making yourself feel it. It's so seamless, and that's what you did in Celebration as well. It was like, oh my gosh, like he
Thank you.
means that.
Yeah, while I was listening to that back, I was like, wow, I sucked. Because like compared to now, I'm a lot, like probably 1,000 times better than then, but it's like it's sad having to go back and watch some of your old videos, and you're like, oh wow, I really could have been a bit better.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
watching back on that, do you think, oh my God? Because I listened to some of my old demo tapes back when I used to sing, and I was like, oh, that was like pitchy there, and that was pitchy there. So is that kind of like what you experience when you watch these?
Yeah. And one thing that I'm a big stickler for is my tone. And while I was listening to that, I was like, ugh, smells like a squished pancake.
Well, Tosh, welcome to the rest of your life. You'll
Thank you.
every time you look back, you're going to be like, it could have been better.
I just, and that's what's kind of hard for me to fathom, is that you're 15 now, and seeing you perform at the Celebration. And I've also saw a bunch of video clips and stuff of various shows that you're doing now currently within the past year. And you're right, you have come leaps and bounds from there. And now all of a sudden we are, Jeff, I'm going to let you manage the comments. Now all of a sudden you are just, I mean, I can't even understand. It's like you don't even pay attention to where your fingers are or anything. It's like you just become one with the instrument. Is that a fair representation of what it's like on stage when you're playing?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me what I'm thinking when I'm playing, and I don't like. It's hard to come up with an answer because I'm not thinking about what I'm playing. I'm just remembering something I haven't done before.
Yeah,
That's pretty powerful.
it's actually, that's more spiritual than you think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell me what this man means to you, and a little bit of background story of how he may have changed your life. This gentleman right here.
Yeah. So I started at a AC/DC concert. I went to it was Sydney. They played, and it was on the Rock or Bust tour. And when he come out of the ground for the first song, like it was sunken into the ground, and then he comes up. And when he come out of the ground and he did the opening to Shook Me All Night Long, I was like, oh, goddamn. And then by the end of the show, I was like, I want to do this. And then Dad ended up getting me a guitar for my 7th birthday, and that's when I started.
Wow.
So how much of AC/DC's catalog do you know by now?
A good percent of it now. But like, the funny thing is, I don't ever like play that stuff live because it's not what I love. Because I love playing AC/DC stuff, but it's not like when you listen to Gary Moore and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
The crazy part is that you said he bought you your guitar at 7. So 2 years later, you're killing AGT. I mean, wow.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. There was a
Actually-
lot of hard work.
Yeah, and that wasn't actually the intro one, because your first foray into that was you did like a collage of rock songs, and
Yeah, I did like a medley.
So how far did you make it in that competition?
I come runner up. But yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I mean, that's what. Now, when I saw you performing up there, I was thinking to myself, that platform was really high. Was
Yeah,
it?
I'm terrified of heights as well. So while I was up there, I was scared.
Now we know what you were thinking about.
Yeah, I know.
This could be my last performance.
I know. So like you know where like the big X's are on top of the thing?
Yeah.
I was only probably like an arm's length from them.
Oh my God.
It's tough.
That's just way too high. So I'm going to skip around here for a second, but I'm curious why, in what round was it that you played Prince? Was that the second or third round? Which
It
round?
was the second or third because I remember that was my last. Actually, no, it would have been third because that was my last performance, I think, for them.
And what led you to choose that song? I mean, obviously Prince is a great artist and everything, but you know, you at this point, when you make it past that initial stage, you have to be really selective about what you're going to choose and make sure that you're going to be able to progress through this process. So why specifically we're like, I think I'm going to do this?
I think that was actually not long after he passed away. Because I remember when I got told he passed away, I didn't know who it was. And because my nan goes, "Oh, Prince passed away." I go, "Oh, did the Prince pass away?" And I was thinking of like the Queen and the Prince and stuff. And then she was like, "No, the artist." And then I looked through his stuff and I found Purple Rain, and I was like, "Oh, this would be cool." And then I played it on one of my YouTube channel, and people loved it. And it was cool to get to play something different other than like at that point I was just playing rock. So and that was kind of the whole start of the blues-ish stuff.
Yeah, it does really have a really big blues influence through it for sure. And now you're actually playing lots of his stuff. You played Purple House, which is his rendition of Jimi Hendrix's Red House, but you started playing Purple House. And what were some of the other ones that you played at?
I played his version of Ain't No Sunshine.
Yep.
But I also put my own spin on it because the way he kind of did it was very similar to how it was written, and I kind of made it more funky with a different riff and different timing and stuff.
Yeah. Man, I was looking over your website and I was looking to see like all the endorsements that you have, and it is just mind-boggling.
The funny thing is I have more than that now. Yeah, I probably have almost double that now.
That's just ridiculous. So like out of all the endorsements that you have, what's the one that when you heard you were being endorsed by them, you were like, oh yeah, this is it?
It was funny because I never really got excited about stuff like that because at that point, because I just didn't really care whether I got given stuff or whether I had to buy it, because I was very honest, and I've been given stuff before and I have said I just don't like it, and I would send it back if I just didn't like it. So I didn't really care about what I was being given or what I wasn't being given, because I was going to use what I liked to better my playing.
Well, it's great. I mean, there's a lot to the endorsements. I know, it means a lot to the companies that make the thing. I mean, but it's because with you growing and expanding and becoming more and more of more and more Taj, people want to make sure that you are holding their
but that was one thing that I did. I used to kind of go around and just like wait until I find something that I like,
right.
And then if I didn't get an endorsement from them, I'd just buy it myself, because I was like, there was stuff I knew I needed, and like with Friedman, I'm the youngest person to be signed to Friedman. Because I remember when I walked in and I was playing around, Dave said, I don't work with kids or animals because they don't listen, but I'll work with you. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you're on the road all the time. What is your situation as far as school is concerned? Do you have like thoughts about, hey, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do all these things? So what are you doing for school right now as it is?
So I do online school because it's a bit easier while you're on the road, because it sucked to have to go back to Australia every week to do some schoolwork.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm doing online school at the moment. It's a bit easier as well because it gives me more time to play guitar.
Oh, obviously, sure. Have you ever heard of a kid by the name of Justin Lee Schultz?
Probably. I've probably seen some of his stuff before.
Yeah. So.
Oh wait, Justin. Yes, I've met him. Me and him are good friends.
Yeah. Oh, great. I was thinking to myself, this guy right here, Justin Lee Schultz, is a monster, and he's also a multi-instrumentalist, and he's kind of in your zone. When he plays guitar, he's just in it. He's not paying attention to the chords.
I think he's from like San Francisco area, because I think I've met him at NAMM.
Yeah, I got an opportunity to actually interview him on Funkatopia, and he actually had brought his piano with him, and he was actually playing on the show, and I was just like, cool. This is unexpected. But I was just thinking, is there anybody that is like around your age that is as proficient on their instruments as you guys are, that you would say, man, I would like to work with that kid. I would like to work for that person.
I've definitely seen a lot of kids. There was a little kid actually I had play at one of my shows. His name's Saxon, and he's a really good guitarist. He is in the Gibson program as well. Not long after I left that program, and I was kind of doing my own thing. But he's like very, very good. A little young fella. He's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So, I mean, because I can only imagine that, this whole songwriting process and just kind of being able to, with you touring and playing the same songs quite a bit, it's rough to kind of get to a point where you go, okay, I got to stop because I need to write my own stuff here, write my own music. But you have been playing with a ton of artists out there, like really well-established artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share some for the people that don't know some of the people that you've played with. I want to show you an image. I'll tell you who they are. Obviously, you know who they are, but I'll tell the audience who they are, and tell me a little bit about a story about how you connected with them and how the evening went. And we will start with the one and only Kingfish. Yeah. So tell me about this.
Yeah, so I actually got to open one of his shows. So I was the opening act for his show, and I played, I think it was like a 30-minute set. It was fun. It was a jazz and blues festival, I think, and it was just me and him playing the festival. So it was cool, and then he invited me up on stage, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool."
Yeah. Was there any song planned, or do you just kind of like, this is gonna be a jam session and we'll just see what happens?
Pretty much he just told me what key it was in, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So what about this gentleman right here, Eric Gales?
Yeah, that was fun. It was in Atlanta. We got to meet up, and he asked me to play at his show, so it was really
well. And we're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I saw this Eric Gales show come on the calendar, and if I would have known that you were going to be there, because I've seen Eric a few times before, but if I'd have known you were there, I absolutely would have come again. But wow, that was.
And if I remember, we talked about it too. We
did.
We talked about it.
Yeah, we always talk about shows.
This show's really good.
Yeah, and I know that you're currently on tour too, and you're actually the closest you're coming to Atlanta. And I don't know why you're skipping over Atlanta, but you're coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee. At the end.
We actually had a show in Atlanta at the same venue that I was playing with Eric Gales. We played it. When was that? It was like I think it was last month or something.
Oh, it already happened. I didn't see it at all. I absolutely. Oh my gosh.
What?
All right. Okay. See. All right. Yeah. If anybody has not seen Taj play live, you have to see him play live. It will blow your mind. You will just, it's just not, you'll see
Thanks.
what I
Yeah,
say.
you feel it. That's
Totally,
the point.
yeah, totally understand. All right, let's go to this next one here. This is interesting. How did you get tied up with Kiss?
Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. Because like I think there was like talk through like mum and dad and their managers or their people who were around them at the time. So and then one day I woke up and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna meet Kiss today," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Did you know who they were?
It was funny because I knew who Gene and that was, but I didn't really listen to a lot of Kiss at that point because really I was more into blues then, and like I knew about Kiss, but I've seen Tommy Thayer and I'm like, I swear I know who that is. And then he walked up, he goes, "Oh, I'm Tommy Thayer," and I'm like, "Oh, I know you." And then I was like, "Oh wait, you're playing for Kiss?" And he was like, "Yep, it's me." But it's hard to recognize them without
Without their makeup?
without the makeup.
Yeah, I bet it is.
That's true.
So, how about Orianthi?
Me and Ori are very close, and we've been close even before this show. It was. I mean, we were all from the same part of town, and because we're like pretty similar how we play, it was pretty easy to feed off of each other on stage. And we've hung out at NAMM a lot most of the time. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. All right, next one here, Rob Thomas.
Yep. So that one actually was like one of the cooler. That was probably one of my favorite shows I got to play with someone. Because I love Santana, and this was before I met Santana as well. So it was cool getting to play his song, but do his part.
Oh, that's actually cool. So you did what's the name of that song?
Smooth.
Smooth. Yeah, Smooth. That's right. Yeah, and speaking of which, then there was your performance with Carlos Santana.
Yes.
So I got to get the story of this, but I also want to kind of get some background also because right now we're showing a picture of you and Carlos Santana on stage at the House of Blues. You can actually, if anybody wants to go on YouTube later, you can search for Taj and Carlos Santana and you'll be able to see the performance of this. But not only this, but then on top of that, he actually took you under his wing and he's actually done a lot with you. So tell me,
Yeah.
what your involvement is with Carlos. Are you still in touch? What's going on?
Yeah, so we keep in touch still, like from time to time. He's very busy doing his tours as well. But Cindy, which is his wife, she actually was the person that got my sister into drums. So it was cool that something different come out of playing with Santana as well. But I think the whole getting to meet Santana come from Rob Thomas, and the Rob Thomas thing come from Orianthi. So
Right.
it was like it all kind of like evolved into me getting to meet Santana, which was really cool because he's a very kind person.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know a lot of history with Carlos Santana, but he's a legend.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of people. I mean, there's like a certain echelon of people that are up there as far as musicians, as far as respected and
Oh yeah.
legends, and he's one of them.
I think he's one of the last remaining people who played at the first Woodstock. One of the first Woodstocks.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I mean, there's still a few of them
There's
left.
still a couple around, but I think Santana was like one of the main players.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But so this is kind of unusual to me because you are like in the mix with all these famous people, and I just only scratched the surface. Who would you be starstruck in playing with? Like if you saw somebody and you were like, oh, like performer wise, would you be like, oh my God, it's so and so? It's
Yeah. it's sucks because the people I really love and I wanted to play with, they've all passed away, like Gary Moore and Prince and stuff. But like now one of my favorite players, his name's Eric Steckles. He's just off his he made like his own style. It was almost like metal blues because he has all the tone is like metal, but it's the blues underneath.
Right. That's, I mean, is there somebody like, not that you necessarily you would play with, but like, say like a movie star or somebody like that, or somebody that's not even in the music industry that you would, if they walked around the corner, you would lose your mind?
Not really, because I don't really look at people like that because I know what it's like to have people come up to you, and I'm not like saying I'm famous or nothing, but like I know what it's like having people come up to you and like I just see them as normal people, just like I am, and other people.
Right. And that's really how you should approach it. It makes life so much easier because you actually, I've been starstruck a couple of times in my life until I got to the point that you are. So you were, I think I was 30 by the time I got to where you are right now. We're just kind of being, normal in front of people. Like the first time I met Prince, I was trying to keep it together as much as I possibly could. It's like, oh God, he's Prince standing right in front of me. And I'm like, so there was that moment. There's other bands too that I just kind of got like, girl. So I wish I would have held it together a little bit better.
It's funny how like everything we've done from Santana onward, something has evolved, something has connection to Santana, because like and it's not like he's sending it out, it's like it's just happening, and then we find out later that they're connected. So like one of the people who sing the backup vocals on my album, she is related to Irene. So Irene is related to Cindy, and Cindy is Carlos's wife. So it's funny. And Morris is related to Irene, which sings on my.
You talking about Morris Hayes, or are you talking about, because we're going to talk about him in a second?
Morris Hayes, yeah. He's related to one of the backup singer who sings on my album.
That's just crazy. So we can kind of fast forward to that too, because I wanted to ask you about this, because I saw this performance of you. I think this is in Arkansas, and Morris Hayes, who was Prince's keyboardist for probably he probably served as a keyboardist for Prince longer than any other keyboardist in Prince's musical history, from 78 until the time he passed. And so I keep seeing Morris Hayes pop up in a lot of your shows. Is he, what shows does he come out to? Is it just like really strategic, or?
Normally we just like, if you're near you and if you want to come play, or if you just want to come to the show. So really it's up to him whenever he wants to play. We'll just be like, oh, we got this show. He'll be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I that's why I was kind of surprised that it was Arkansas in this particular.
Yeah.
It's like, I know you're not from the States, but Arkansas is like not one of those. It's not like an LA or an Atlanta or a New York. It's Arkansas. So, man, you got like a lot of fans here. So let's see. What else was we going to talk about? Oh yeah. So you are currently on tour. And we talked a little bit about this before. I'm going to try to share this tab with folks, because again, if people have not seen you live, they need to see you live. We are looking at, so you're actually on a little bit of a break right now, it looks like, and you have.
Yeah, I'm at home for about a week.
Oh, that's nice. So, but then you're back into it. You're coming back to the States, and it's.
Oh no, I live in America.
Where do you live in America?
I live in Texas.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still in Australia. I didn't know that. Okay.
No.
Cool.
I live here now.
Oh, that's great.
It was a bit easier than having to fly back and forth.
A lot. Yeah.
It's a lot easier. So, for those who are interested in seeing him live, we're not done yet. Don't worry, don't freak out yet. But I wanted to talk about the story here for a second. I mean, you're playing all over the place. You're hitting up in the Northeast in New Jersey and New York, and then some places in Virginia. Then you're coming back down towards us. You're playing at Cherokee. I think that's probably the casino. Is probably what you're playing there.
Yeah, I'm opening for Buddy Guy there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Wow.
Another legend.
Yeah.
And then Chattanooga, Tennessee. I might have to try to do a car ride to get out there because that's only about a couple hour, 2.5 hour drive or something like a 3 hour drive. So I may have to make it out to that one. So I will reach out and let you know if we're going to come up there. Maybe we'll take some pictures and video and whatnot. But anybody has not seen him, go to tajfarrant.com. That's TAJFARRANT.com. And you can just click on the tour dates link and you can see all the places that he's playing up there, which is, again, freaking amazing that you're doing. And you got your whole family on tour.
Yeah.
Your dad is always with you. Your mom's always with you. And Giselle, is Giselle, is that her name?
Yeah.
She plays drums. She used to play drums for your band at one point?
So she never wanted to play drums for me. She wanted to like do her own thing. So we let her open the show with some of the songs that she likes playing. And Giselle is a metalhead, so she plays a lot of like System of a Down and stuff like that. So it's like a big energy starter for the show, which is really cool.
That's pretty awesome. Got a metalhead. Okay, there you go. That's pretty awesome. You know, one thing, it's really cool because your dad does so much work with, I mean, he's just always moving and he's constantly doing. Your mom and him seem to always just be doing everything. It's just like they're just like chameleons. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And they're very, very protective of you too. I actually I don't know if you remember this, but I got an opportunity to meet you in Minneapolis, and I got your picture outside.
Yeah, I remember.
And there's your dad over my shoulder. Right?
Yeah, there's that.
Photo bombing.
Yeah, he's photo bombing, which I think is awesome what's awesome about it is because he's always there. And I know that, having kids of my own, that it's got to be so stressful to have your child in show business, because show business is a really filthy, dirty beast. And so he's got to be really, really protective over you. And it seems like you guys are making it work. So, I mean, is that dynamic just really good? There's not a lot of friction.
Yeah, because there's a thing we say, me and Dad handle the show and Mum and Mel handles the business. That's why there's two words in show business.
There you go. That's just amazing. So out of all the places that you've played and the people that you've played with, what are some of the highlights? Like, some of the things that were specific moments that you look back and you go, wow, that was really, really cool. That was like a really, really great memory. Is anything specific that really sticks out to you?
Yeah. So I played a festival in January, I think. Oh no, it was March. So it was in Australia. It was the Byron Bay Blues Fest.
I actually have a list of the people that performed at the I'm always prepared. The Blues Fest Byron Bay, and you were on the same ticket with Here Come the Mummies, Snarky Puppy, and Michelle Indigo-Cello, which is unfriggin' real.
Yeah. And it was cool. I got to be the headline for that day.
That's amazing.
That's just crazy. That's really awesome. I mean, were you able to stay for all these performances?
Well, yes and no, because there was there's different stages as well. I think there's like 4 stages. So this is one of the small stages. I think this one holds like 5,000 to 6,000. And then the bigger ones hold like 10 to 20. So there's 2 big ones and 2 small ones. So I played the big one 2 days, and then I played that one that one for 2 days as well.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. And you know, you say you're into blues and stuff, and I've heard you mention in interviews, it's like, who's some of your favorites? And one of the ones that always comes out on top whenever you say it, he goes, "Well, I really like Aretha Franklin," which was really unusual for me to hear you say because I just maybe I just didn't expect it. It's not unusual. I just didn't expect it. So tell me a little bit about what you know about Aretha Franklin and also some of the other blues artists that you really like.
Yeah. So the whole thing that started with Aretha Franklin, it was one song that I heard, and I was like, "Oh, who's this?" And I think the song was "Say a Little Prayer," and like, I got shown who that was, and then I kind of just went through a rabbit hole of like, oh, just finding new singers, and it was cool that she was in the blues world, but for singing, like more well known for singing and not like an instrument. Well, singing is an instrument, but like not a musical instrument, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good now. So what about other blues artists? Were there other blues artists that you were really into that you're just completely in with either with us or not?
I mean, obviously my favorite is Gary Moore. I love some of the older people like BB King and stuff like that. But I base most of my like mentality in playing off of like Gary Moore and Stevie, and then I could try and like mix what I've learnt from all of the rock and metal music I used to do into the blues. So it's like a mixed genre of everything, but it all in the blues category.
Right. And there's tons out there. You know,
Yeah.
Some serious rabbit holes. And it sounds like your dad and your family in general are really doing a great job making sure that you're rooted in the foundation of music, which is, you know, because most of the stuff that's out there now, that's on the radio now, is just you know, there's a lot of great artists and bands out there, but I'm talking about the top 40 radio type of approach of things. Most of that is garbage, but there are so many great bands out there, like some of the ones you're playing with, like Eric Gales and Jamiroquai and all these phenomenal bands from all over the world that are just incredible. So I love that your foundation is in the core of where good music is.
Well, the funny thing is that I don't actually listen to a lot of blues anymore because I've listened to so much of it. It all kind of starts to sound the same sometimes. Yep. So I actually listen to a lot of, like, funnily enough, rap music and stuff because their phrasing is so different in every song. It's never the same, and I find it helps with my guitar playing.
Well, and the thing about rap music is, though, too, is that a lot of the music and everything that is in the background is constructed from all those old songs of the past. So it's like,
like the R&B stuff, and that's all. Absolutely. It all goes back to blues somehow.
Yeah, you were gonna say something, Jeff?
No, I was just gonna say it's not only that they're keeping you rooted in music and all of that, but your mental state, you're staying, you know, level-headed and grounded, and that's going to be the most important thing that's going to keep you going the longest, you know. So all those people that have supported you and backed you, and, you know, the high levels, they saw that too, because they don't just see talent, you know what I mean? There's more to it, and you've got that too. So that's awesome. Your family's doing great.
Yeah, thank you.
So what are some of the really cool stuff? I know one thing that your dad told me about that is now public knowledge, but I think he told me before they made the announcement, some upcoming stuff that you have coming up besides the album. The one that I'm referring to is the Joe Bonamassa Blues Cruise.
Oh yeah.
That's happening. That's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, that'll be my first time playing on a boat or going on a boat like that size. So it's going to be weird. Gonna have to see if I get seasick while playing. But I should be fine. It'll be really fun though to get to experience something like that.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I try to get Joe Bonamassa on the show because I don't know if you know this or not. This may be a little hit. This is a rabbit hole for you to go down. But Joe Bonamassa also has a funk project called Rock Candy Funk Party. So if you ever get an opportunity to check that out, it's called Rock Candy Funk Party. And
Okay.
I actually did a review on that album, and he actually posted about it on his website. So I was just like, oh my gosh, Joe Bonamassa is talking about me. So it was, he's a really, and he's one of those guys that's, again, comes from that same camp of you where just become one with the instrument and just kind of disappear into the music.
Yeah.
Any other really cool stuff coming up?
I'm playing Lollapalooza.
You're playing Lollapalooza.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's in Lollapalooza this year?
I think Chili Peppers is headlining one day.
Oh my God.
Actually, sorry, it's Blink-182 who's doing one day, and then who's doing the other day? We don't know the other day.
Well, it's Megan I just pulled it up. Megan the Stallion, SZA's on there. The Killers, Blink-182. There's a lot of people. Melanie Martin. There's a Dominic Fike. There's a lot of people in this mix.
Yeah,
Wow.
Man.
That's quite a show.
yeah, it's pretty large, that one.
Wow.
And then what's another one? Oh, we're playing Vegas. We do the Big Blues Bender. That one's going to be fun.
Who are some of the big headliners on there besides you?
I think Ben Harper's playing that one.
Wow.
Wow.
And there was a couple other names. There was, I think, Buddy Guy's playing that one actually.
Wow.
And yeah, that one's going to be cool. It's a bit different doing festivals. We've done quite a couple of festivals lately, and yeah. So we got like Eric Gales is playing that one. Samantha Fish. Yeah, there's some pretty good names on there.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Now, I thought you said that your new album wasn't coming out until August. Is your new album available now?
Is it August?
No, it's not August yet. But
No.
I thought, yeah, when is your new album supposed to come out?
It comes out August or late August or early September.
Nice. And do you have a name for it yet?
We've been trying to figure that out all day.
It's your first one. You could just do Taj.
You never know.
Nah, maybe not.
It's just a thought. I know, but there's some really cool. I've seen some tracks that little released clips that may or may not end up on this album. Like, for instance, I know that you had a single about a year ago called No Words. Is that going to end up on this album, or is that just no? Okay.
That I don't like that song.
It was a good song, and by the time you start crafting it and start putting it together a little bit more, and
So that was actually the first song I ever wrote before the first song that we put out was. I wrote that song when I was 7. So
what?
it wasn't that good. So I was more
That's
focused
not.
on putting the good songs in the album for this one.
It's old to you, but it's new to everyone else. So
But
Yeah.
just remember
You know,
that.
Jeff, he
Make it
didn't
a
say.
single.
He didn't say it was old. He said it was not good, which is like so not true. It's actually a really cool track.
because it's familiar
Yeah.
to him now.
It's like his disposable stuff is like probably bands are like wanting to stumble upon and go, yes, that's a hit.
Yeah, I have like a whole voice memos thing that I can scroll through, and I have all of these are riffs that I've written just on this tour because I have like 3 phones that I've like old phones that have more and more. On my last phone, I remember I counted like 180 riffs that I wrote on there.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Well, what about Bad Trip? Is that going to be on the album?
Yeah. So the latest 6 that we've put out, like from Crossroads all the way to I Give Up, they're all going in the album, and then we've got 6, I think, 4 or 5 songs that will go in to the album.
And there's the brand new single "I Give Up,"
Yep.
which just came out as well. So how many songs total did you already? I don't know if you already said this or not. How many songs-
It'll be 10 or 11 because we have one cover on there that we do our own version of.
Okay.
what's the cover, or is that going to be a surprise?
You're gonna have to wait for that one.
Okay, all right, all right, great.
I love this.
So-
Mr. Christopher says, "I love that song, Taj. It's crap." It's like, oh,
Well, I'm
that's our
looking,
takeaway for tonight's show. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
it's not just me. I'm sitting here looking at the chat room. There's Teresa says, I love No Words. Shireen says, No Words
No
is
words, no
unreal.
unreal. Yeah.
Like, come on, I'm not alone here. It's not,
Telling you.
but it's okay. It's all right. It's fine. If he thinks it's not good enough for the album,
Yeah,
it's
it's one of those where they can be singles that you let out in between major projects. So
Yeah,
it's not even-
that's kind of what we were doing with the latest 6, because we didn't want to just release the album. We wanted to have songs that people already knew, that like people have already heard, so they aren't like getting surprised with different stuff. So with the album, I tried going one of like every genre ish, but still staying in the blues, like different genres of the blues. So like I Give Up was more like pop blues ish, and then House Always Wins was really like Stevie Ray Vaughan inspired. So it was, I tried basing a song off of like each person I like.
Well,
you've
that's-
already got requests. You got somebody, hey, hope you include a redo of I Just Can't Sleep in a lower raspy voice. So there you go.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked for that, and I am procrastinating about doing it because, like, I have, once again, better songs to work on. So it's, yeah.
Wow. This is pretty. So, style wise, is it leaning more towards like a Steve Vai, or what type of style would you say is the album's going to be collectively when it comes out?
Well, that was the thing, because, like, not every song is the same. So it was really a mix of every genre. And there's even an intro that I based. There's like the intro to the album is just like a minute and a half long. And I just wanted it there because it fades into the next song, which is Bad Trip. But we put it there just for that song was based off of like Pink Floyd, and then like they're all based off of some band or person that has inspired my guitar playing.
Well, so basically, the album is going to be like a Prince album.
Pretty much, yeah.
No,
Bit of everything.
where no songs are not one
Yeah.
song can be compared to another. It's just
Yeah,
like,
little bit of everything.
everything in one album. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Taj, absolutely positively loved having you on the show. I
Absolutely.
told you that. I said I have to get him on the show. I have to talk to him. I have
Thank
to
you, Batman.
our audience season, because again, I know I keep saying this word, but you guys can look it up. Gobsmacked is the only one I could come up with. When I saw you, it was just like I was just stunned. It was unfathomable that a 15-year-old kid was playing this as immaculate as you are. I mean, there are people who go their entire lives and never get to where you are right now.
Thank you.
And live, it's even more fierce and more ridiculous. And I'm hoping that in the near future you actually do record a live album and release a live album in the future.
It's funny, we were working along the lines of something like that at the moment, and that'll be released after the first album.
Yes. I'll take it.
Yeah,
That is-
so we're gonna chuck like some of the originals that everyone likes that I play live, like Parisian Walkways, and maybe chuck a Prince song in there. You never know.
Never know.
Stop.
Well,
Stop.
just like
Please.
majority of the people here, everything that you're doing right now is getting praises. People are loving whatever you do. So we really appreciate you coming out and hanging with us. That itself is a blessing for us.
Thank you
So,
for having me.
Yeah, man.
Well, it has been an honor for everybody that's here. If you came in late, this is Taj Farrant, and he is a young guitarist and singer, and is just an incredible musician, like unbelievable. You may have had an opportunity to see him at the Prince celebration, and you can find all types of clips, but please, I beg you, go to tajfarrant.com. Again, that's TAJFARRANT.com. Check out his tour dates and go see him live. I'm going to do my absolute positive best to get out to the Chattanooga show. I will let you know if I'm able to make it out there, because I want to be able to bring my camera and get some really good shots and stuff.
Yeah, that should be sweet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for the one and only Taj.
Thank you for having me.
I'm giving that to you. You
All
got
right,
that.
get some rest, young man. Thank you so much for joining us, man. See ya.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man.
All right, that was Taj Farrant, and man, oh man, it's just
He's
legendary.
playing, man. It was just he's fun to watch. You know what I mean? Like, he's exciting, and like I said earlier, it's not just that he can play; it's the way he plays, what he's emoting when he's playing. You see it, and you're just like, ooh, you know, I felt that one note.
Yeah, it's just unreal. All right, so that it's kind of hard to kind of move on from that, because I'm still kind of in a little Taj buzz. It's so awesome, because I know for a fact that even 10 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, he is going to be all over the map.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be able to say that he was on the show, and we got an opportunity to be able to sit down and talk with him and everything else. And that's just going to be friggin' amazing. It's going to be
absolutely.
I love Taj, and I wish the best for him. And anytime he comes anywhere close to here, I'm going to try to get out to it. And again, I'm going to go to the Chattanooga show. I'll call you. Maybe we'll go together.
No.
Now, as we said before, tonight, July 9th, 2024, is the 40th anniversary of the Times Ice Cream Castle. If you can even wrap your head around that, it's unfriggin' real. I just can't. I can't. It's just impossible to wrap your head around this.
There are so many quotes and things from that whole album of the different songs that stick, that that we use all the time still.
So I got like 1 to 2 minutes of things to say before I bring our first guest on here, because there's a lot. First off, what's interesting about this is that when many people think of the Time, they think of obviously the regular lineup of folks that everybody knows and love, and it's just when they think of the Time, you think of Morris Day, Jerome Benton, Jesse Johnson, Jelly Bean Johnson, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, that Monty Moore. That's who you think of as the Time. But a lot of, some people don't really kind of look too much at the history and everything, but there were other iterations of this band as well that kind of, and a lot since then. There's been a lot of guitarists in and out and different,
equally as amazing.
Yeah, it's just kind of been swooping here and there. But what's really interesting is, obviously, again, we're talking about Ice Cream Castle now. With Ice Cream Castle, that the name of that album came from Joni Mitchell's song, Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now, where it's Rose and Flows of Angel Hair and Ice Cream Castles in the Air. And that's kind of because obviously Prince was very much into Joni Mitchell, and that's where this title came from. And as you can see on the album cover, the band's not the same. And so this was really what's kind of interesting about this is that there was a lot that went on in the background, and there's a lot of people that don't know what happened, and some people that may not have even noticed. Matter of fact, I was 15, 16 at the time when Purple Rain came out, and when I saw the band, I didn't think anything about the difference in band members from one band to the next. At that time, I was just the music, the person who's singing, wow, the spectacle of it, and that was it.
Right.
But Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were fired because they came to Atlanta to do some production work for SOS, and I think also Climax and SOS. And we had a snowstorm, which means we had a little bit of ice. It was like a half inch of snow or whatever. And they got trapped here in Atlanta. And this was in That this was in those days, 83, I guess it was. Um, and Prince fired them, basically cut them loose. And it ended up causing a lot of problems because they missed the show, and Jerome had to like mime playing bass guitar on stage while Prince was actually playing the actual part of Lewis's part behind the stage. And then Lisa actually stood in for Jimmy Jam, and it was a whole thing. But Prince actually said in a 1980 Rolling Stone interview, "I didn't fire Jam and Lewis. Morris asked him what he would do in this situation. And remember, it was Morris's band." So he was essentially saying that it was Morris that let him go. And of course, Morris, that's not what happened. But all that to be said, they had to bring in other members because they were about to film a movie. Not only film a movie, but also try to put together and release this album, Ice Cream Castle. So they had to put in band members. Enter some other members, including the one and only Paul Peterson, who is our first special guest for the day. So we're going to go ahead and bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Peterson's in the house.
What's up? Yeah, I should take this off. I wasn't St. Paul yet. That's right. It's only Paul Peterson. What's up, fellas?
So when did you officially become St. Paul? Was it the family?
That was the family, yeah. I found out when I saw the album cover.
You found out.
So did Barbarella, by the way. He found out.
Wow.
That it was called Barbarella by reading, I think, the newspaper, some John Bream article, I guess.
Oh my God.
Man, it's so good to see you guys. What? How in the hell is it 40 years ago? Wait,
I don't know.
how the hell is it 40 years ago?
I just don't understand what happened there.
I don't understand.
Damn.
I don't know.
Well, I am a grandpa now, so I guess I can get away with that.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am too, and my oldest daughter is pregnant, and that's
Man.
it's going to continue. Going to be grandpops. I'm pops basically. I don't do grandpa.
I'm grandpa. I like it.
Grandpa's cool, but I was just
I
like, let's
earned
just do
that name.
pops. Let's just stick with pops.
And it's my daughter Jean Taylor's birthday today. Her last year in her 20s.
Congratulations. There
Wow.
you go.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's why it was a wee bit tardy.
It's
forgive me.
quite all right. No, it's quite all right. Because we
right.
we brought Taj on because Taj said, "Hey, I can be on the show tonight." Or he said a few days ago, was like, "I'll make it work."
Perfect.
So let's talk about Ice Cream Castle and also the impact that it had, because it was you,
Yeah.
Mark Cardenas,
whom I finally talked to after 35 years. About
I know he just
5
said
days ago.
Yes, he told me that because I actually talked to Mark Cardenas. For those who want to know, Mark Cardenas was going to be a guest on the show tonight, but they are actually he's doing a gig with his daughter over in Seattle, so they are they're doing rehearsals right now, so they couldn't come. But we have a 1-hour interview with Mark Cardenas about
No way.
and also the Purple Rain situation, all of it. That is going to be airing on YouTube in 6 minutes. Yeah. So
you know what? I want to hear that because I want to hear his perspective. I know mine, and I think I've been more vocal than Mark over the years. Y'all know, me. I'm not shy. He has not necessarily done a lot of interviews about that, so that would be fascinating to hear his side of it.
It's really cool. He was kind of sitting in the background, kind of absorbing it all. But he did mention to me, he said he was the old guy in the band because he said when he was 29, he was 29 at that time. And so it was
really okay.
Yeah, he was like 28, 29. I said, well, that makes you the oldest person on stage, my friend.
True. True.
So there is an hour interview with Mark Cardenas that will be on YouTube shortly. It's going to be premiering on YouTube very, very shortly. So after you guys are done with this, you can go and watch that, or you can just wait out there. But I did it yesterday, and he's got some really, really cool stories. So let's hear your story because now obviously you got Jam and Lewis.
Yep.
Which respectively, as far as the bass was concerned, was supposed to be Rocky.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, Rocky Harris, and I think I actually have a picture somewhere of Rocky. Actually, I do have a picture of Rocky.
Let me see. Oh, look at him. Ah! I used to pick Rocky up for rehearsals. He was in the band up until the first day of shooting Purple Rain. You hear him on, let me think, The Bird. You hear him, no personality. That's him doing that high part on there.
Really?
So that's rock. I swear to God.
That is awesome. Oh my
He
God.
was a character. He could play anything. He was such a talent.
Oh my gosh. So and it was Rocky, and apparently now Mark Cardenas tells the story that just one day he missed rehearsal for whatever. I guess they were supposed to be on the bus at 5:00 in the morning or whatever it was. And
It wasn't rehearsal, man. It was the
What was it?
first day of shooting Purple Rain.
Oh, okay.
Whoops.
That's a little
Whoops.
Yeah.
big-
Whoops.
bigger. That's oof. And Rocky's no longer with us, unfortunately. But
No,
So-
he's not. And we had some great times. I'll tell you that.
yeah,
One hell
so
of a talent.
that's kind of what I want to hear about. Really, is really, did the three of you, Mark Cardenas, yourself, and obviously, Rocky was in the mix, and then of
Yep.
course later on
Hubbard.
Jerry came in the
Of
mix.
course, yeah.
Did you guys kind of bond? It's just like, all right, first off,
You mean the new guys?
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta find a friend
Well, we
somewhere.
had to. It was damn survival in those days. We're like, we got to work on all these steps. We got to try to fit in. It was boot camp, fellas.
Right.
Oh,
And
gosh.
suburbia man here. I was walked into a situation. I was used to dealing with playing bebop and R&B and not playing parts. And I walked into this situation where it was a complete 180, right?
Mm.
And you're not supposed to do anything that's not on the record. You have to do things a certain way. And it was like, oh, whoa, I got to figure this out. So we were all in the same boat. So yeah, we bonded. We're trying to figure it all out together. And the other thing is what a shock to Jellybean, Jerome, Morris, Jesse, not to have their brothers in the band anymore. They were probably going, who in the hell are these
Right.
guys?
Right.
And I talked to Jimmy Jam about it on my podcast, Music on the Run, the one that's out now. And I finally got to ask him that question. I said, Jam, yes, we're buddies. And I said, what was it like having someone like me or Mark replace you in your beloved The Time? And y'all can go listen to it because it's fascinating just to finally, after 40 years, get to ask him these incredible questions and stuff that's been on my heart for so long,
Right.
But yeah, that was a very long answer to yes, we bonded because we were the new guys.
No, but how were you approached for the project in the first place? I mean, who was the connection that made the
Bobby C's first cousin called me. I was in a band with him, and he happened to be dating my sister, and we were all in my sister's band, and he was the drummer in this band. He called me right after I graduated high school. I was up on vacation, and this is documented, so I won't belabor this.
Yeah.
But I got a phone call that said you got an audition with The Time, and this is my brother-in-law Stuart. And I think Bobby C must have hipped him to the fact that they were looking for a replacement for Monty or Jimmy and Terry, all those guys. So I came home to the very house I'm in right now. I'm at my mom's kitchen counter. Well, I mean, she's passed, but my wife and I bought this house. So it's really odd talking about this 40 years later being in the same location. I rehearsed all my stuff here. Went in day one. I evidently passed the first audition. So I got called back a second time, and Prince was there. And he pulled the first thing he did to break the ice was the Rec-a-Sto thing. He wrote it down, Rec-a-Sto, on a piece of paper and asked me to say what it is. And I was scared to death, and I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. That was him breaking the ice, and then we started picking out suits for Purple Rain. That's how I got the gig.
wow.
Gosh.
And Mark said that he was told to learn the entire discography, which at the time at the time was only 2 albums, which what 15 songs, 12, 13 songs, I don't know, because there's only like there's not many songs on those albums, but
Right.
he was told to learn all the songs, which obviously wasn't going to come in play unless there was a plan to tour. What was the plan there?
I think they planned on touring. I mean, it was going to be the Purple Rain tour. I'm guessing now, but
Yeah,
it would make sense if it was Prince and the time, Apollonia 6. But I don't know for certain because I was the new guy. But you got to believe that that's what it was. And if you go back and listen to that one gig I got to do at the time, we were tight, and we better have been because we rehearsed for like 6 to 8 months, 6 days a week, 6 hours a day to get that stuff right. And we sounded really good. I mean, I think. And then Morris decided that he was going to, do his own solo thing. And that's when it was like, all right. That's when Prince gathered us in the room. And then he pointed at me and said, we're going to do a new band, and you're going to be the lead singer.
wow. And from what in that new band obviously was the Family. And I had heard, was it Jerry Hubbard that was supposed to be in the Family as well, and then something happened and they didn't do it?
He went with Jesse.
He went with Jesse Johnson's Review. That's right. It was a decision between there was a decision between the Family and Jesse Johnson's Review.
Right.
And so he was kind of like in this balance. Now
he did really well with Jesse, though. I think they wrote a lot of songs together, and it was a good decision for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, he also played all over the Shockadelica album, which I happen to be, surprisingly enough, I go back on these albums and I realize there's so many of these things I did not realize about these albums. And looking at some of the lineups on here, I did not, for some reason, I didn't know that Sonny T was on Shockadelica. And
I didn't know that. You tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, so
there you go.
Sonny T is on Shockadelica, like on a few tracks, and it was just like, I just know that. It's just unbelievable.
What was he playing? Bass?
No, he was actually playing keys.
Here we go again. Sonny T, the teaser.
What is going on? So you got this.
Eric Rogers says Bobby Vandell. Yeah, Bobby was in that.
Yeah.
Hi, Bobby Vandell, wherever you are. Bobby Vandell is a fixture in Minnesota music history. He's like, I've known him my entire life. He worked with my older brothers and sisters, and Bobby's all over that record, or at least his picture is anyway.
Yeah, and I did manage. I think I brought it out. I thought I did. Maybe I did. Yeah, I did. I still have my vinyl.
Oh my! Wait, I have one. Maybe I got one.
Yeah, maybe you do. There you go.
No. I have one.
I still got my vinyl. I think I had a single. I think I had. Oh, Afterlux, of course. Yeah, that's a great one. Yes. Where's the LP? You got to put the LP ones out.
That one's in the garage, man.
Oh, okay.
I ain't got enough room for storage up here, people.
Yeah, for those who don't know, because I know there's a lot of people that are probably in the chat room and whatnot that don't realize that the Family did actually get back together and continue and called themselves F Deluxe.
Yeah.
So if you want to continue the Family experience, those albums are fantastic. I actually have them over there as well, and the LP ones, which are phenomenal. So to go back to kind of Ice Cream Castle, so when you are in this mix, since we're talking about the 40th anniversary, and just to be clear, Jerry Hubbard is supposed to be joining us at some point. I'm
gonna text him and say, "Hurry up!
Hurry up! Where are you?"
I want to be on the same. I want to be on with him.
Okay, all right. So I'll
question, but stretch it out so I can text him.
I'll chatter while you're texting. So, what's interesting about this is that you've got, not only do you have a new setup for the time, there's a lot of hurt feelings. Morris even says it in his book about how he was feeling some sort of way that his brothers and stuff had been
I would too.
Yeah, and there's always like this mixture of stories as to whether or not Morris was cordial or whether he wasn't. There was a lot of people who said, I I think you were on the show here before, and you had mentioned something to the fact that Morris said where Jimmy Jam is supposed to be standing or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Maybe
I don't know if that was me, but
there was somebody that shared the
that
story.
sounds about right.
So anyway,
we didn't really get to know each other back in those days. He has been super cool. We've kind of rekindled a little communication, especially in the last year or so. I'm just because I'm doing a lot of stuff in my community and president of Rotary here in Edina. And I'm like, we're having a huge gala at, like, not even my Rotary people know this, but we're doing it at Paisley Park. And wouldn't it be cool if we could have, some memorabilia from back in the day? So Morris has been super cool, super cordial to me. Now that we're an old man, it was a different thing for him back then. We never really got to hang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think Mark had said that for the most part, Prince was in and out, but Jesse was pretty much steering. Most part. I mean,
yes, he was.
Okay.
Oh, Jesse.
It sounds like there's some stories here. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Buddy. Jesse, it was like James Brown on steroids. That's how he went about inspiring us, if you want to call it that. That's sugarcoating it like you can't believe. He would cuss us out I would tell this to his face. So
really,
and you are a great friend. Oh Lord. Well, and that was who he was back in those days. And we were just scared little kids trying to fit in. But I'm going to tell you something though. And I got the opportunity to thank him. I have called him out and I've called him up and I said, dude, you are the one who gave me the shot. You are the one who helped mold me into that camp so I fit in. You are the reason that I was able to hang and get the opportunities that I was able to get within the Prince camp. And you got to give flowers when people are on the planet. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that stuff.
Absolutely.
We even did a gig together about a year and a half ago at Vibrato, and it was like nothing had changed in 40 years. We had a rehearsal, and he started cussing us out, and I'm like, yes, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Mark didn't say anything about that. Mark was just like, "Oh yeah, no, it was Jesse. Jesse was kind of helping us along and blah blah blah."
Helping us along? Come on, man. Dude.
Beating you guys up.
Jesse was cussing us out, he was like, "You unfucking." That's just who it was. It was the James Brown $200. He didn't fine us, but I mean that was the mentality that we had to figure out. That was one of. Not only did we have to learn all the material, try to fit in, but figure out how to, get over with Jesse because we were unsure. We figured it out because we got close. Jesse and I got really tight.
Wow, that's cool though. I mean,
That's awesome.
It's the truth, man. Shoot.
So were you there? It seems like Mark said everybody was in the bus when Rocky didn't make it and got fired on the spot or whatever it was.
Yes, I was there. Yeah, we were. I think we were pulling up. If memory serves me, which it usually doesn't, we were pulling up to a warehouse. It was super early in the morning, super early call. And oh wait, I cannot find the link. Can you send it to me? Send them the link. Will you guys send Hubbard the link?
Yeah, I sent it to him. I'll send him again.
Okay, I'm gonna tell them. They are sending. We're gonna make this happen, y'all.
We're gonna make it happen.
It's a reunion for me too. I love Hubbard.
I just texted him. But he also says, "Can I just do audio only?" And I said, "If you want."
Oh, come on. Anyway, so 5:36 in the morning, he didn't show.
Oh, go ahead.
And that was it. I think I don't remember exactly how we got Hubbard. He's gonna have to refresh my memory on that. I don't remember how that transpired. Let's let that be one of our questions because I want to know too.
Yeah. Because I want to ask. I got a bunch of questions about, just about that. Also, the biggest question I had, we'll probably get to a little bit later once he comes in, is that he was actually on Shockadelica, Jerry Hubbard, with Rocky. And so I want to know, just like
Yeah.
the Jimmy Jam thing, I'm really curious how that went. I was just like, you know, did you hate me?
Good question. I want to know too. I'm gonna stay on in the background, just be like,
Yeah, got to figure that out for sure. Because he has like a lot of history too. I mean, he had his own band. What was it? The Style Band and everything. So we're gonna talk about this stuff. It's gonna be
Hubbard's an incredible talent, an incredible writer, an incredible producer. I mean, he's a mega talent. That guy, he really is.
He says, I have that, but I need the link once I'm in there. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Click the link.
Just press the button, Jerry.
When you're in, you're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Olga says,
yes.
I was at the Herb Alpers Vibrato Grill chat show that St. Paul and Minneapolis All Stars, and Jesse was there. That was so much fun.
Yeah, and tell me, just tell me about that show. I mean, like now that this has got to be just so unusual. I mean, in a world after Prince, AP, it's just
right.
it's just kind of it's everything's different. Everybody, there's obviously disparity in between everything, between people in the estate, between band members, certain band members.
Not me, bro. I am probably the luckiest guy, and here's why. I am not in any particular camp, right? I'm on my own entity. And yeah, was I in the time? Of course I was. Was I in the family? Yeah. Was I in the revolution? No. Was I in NPG? No. But I started the Minneapolis All Stars probably back in 1996. We put out a record on Go Jazz. You probably don't even know about this, but look it up, all you fans out there. This is a hard to find record on Go Jazz, and we toured around with Bobby Vandell on drums, Dave Barry, who played with Janet Jackson on guitar, my brother Ricky, who was a producer for Prince. Who else? Jason Peterson Dallaire. And so that was the beginning of it. And we were going around to colleges giving seminars. Now, fast forward, it's taken on a bunch of different iterations. But, I'm able to include people from the New Power Generation, people from the Revolution, people from Mint Condition. So it is truly the Minneapolis Funk All-Star. And we do it for one reason and one reason only, and that is to carry on what Prince started and gave to the world. And we do it with authenticity and with the love that we have for that music. And it's got to be right. Just like Jesse and Prince taught us, and yelled at us about, get that right. And we do, and we have a ball, no drama, and it's all about preserving and the Minneapolis song and sound for years and generations to come. So that's what's cool about that band.
Well, and there was another project that's also very difficult to find that I happened to stumble on. I can't remember where I stumbled on, but I found it and I was like, holy crap. I didn't even know who it was, but I recognized the voice as soon as I heard it. I knew it was yours, and it was the project The Truth.
Oh, sure. With Kirk Johnson, Mr. Leeds, Jerry Hubbard. Yeah.
That is unreal. So what happened with The Truth? I mean, why didn't that, was that just like going to be a one-off thing that was just going to be?
We were around for a couple of years. We were just looking for different people to play with, and we all were of the same mindset because we are from the same camp. That makes life easier because we understand each other immediately. Right. Yeah, and it was a great band. I love those guys.
Oh man. And that you can actually find, if people want to look, you can actually go to Discogs, DISCO, like Disco SG. It's short for discography, but Discogs, and you can actually find The Truth on CD. Like a lot of people, there's tough to find, but you can find it, and it is. It was pretty.
Yeah. What you don't know about is the Mighty Soulmates. Did we talk about that?
Oh no, we do know about the Mighty Soulmates. Yeah, you have
Okay.
not one but two volumes of My Soulmates. You know, matter of fact,
Okay.
we had Mick on the show.
Well, I hope so. What a legend that dude is.
Yeah, we had Mick on the show, and it was really really cool to kind of Mick Murphy, who for those who don't know, Mick Murphy was lead singer of The System.
Still is.
Yes, still is correct.
Mhm.
And it was St. Paul Peterson and Andre Simone and who else was missing?
Come on, come up with it.
Come on.
He wrote, "Open your heart to me."
Oh,
That was a very terrible Madonna impression. Did you like that?
yes, I know.
GC, Gardner Cole.
Gardner Cole.
Gardner Cole.
Yes, man. But I mean, that's another one. So you guys want to go down rabbit holes if you guys want to expand your world of St. Paul Peterson or just Paul Peterson. You kind of like dropped it here and added it here and wherever else. See, whatever you want to do. It's fine. It's you.
It's my name, and I'm certainly not. Except some little jerk stole my name. This dude, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, which is a great band, by the way. Little shit didn't wait till I was dead to use my name. Now, what's up with that? Don't I have to die first before you just take my name? St. Paul? Come on now. We were on the same gig together. We played at the Viking Stadium. He wouldn't come out of his trailer. I wanted to say, really, young man? Is that right, young man? You got my, okay. You're St. Paul, huh? Really?
Wow.
So I don't think I ever knew that you said that you didn't know that you were St. Paul Peterson until the album came out and you were listed as St. Paul Peterson. Is that I mean, really, is that how it happened?
I don't know. I make half the shit up.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, but I mean, I don't remember it. Jeff's like, oh, great. Thanks a lot. I don't remember a definitive moment when Prince came up to me and said, do you think it would be okay if I changed your name to St. Paul? He would never say that, first of all. Second of all, he just did it. It was St. Paul. That's who I was, and that's what it was going to be. So there was no discussion about it, and that's just how it happened.
Well,
and it is a badge of honor, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's served you well. I think it's really really cool, and obviously it's apropos being in Minnesota, and
oh yeah,
I mean, it's just awesome. So
it really is.
You know, I guess the main question, obviously, being in regards to Purple Rain, also was kind of going back to the 40th anniversary of Ice Cream Castle. We went down a little bit of rabbit holes with the Mighty Soulmates and the family, the Truth, and St. Paul and the Minneapolis All Stars, but which all of with I got to try to find that Minneapolis All Stars album now.
Yeah, you do.
It's got to be
great
somewhere. It's got to be somewhere. I just asked.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, I just asked Jerry. I said,
ask Eric Rogers. He's got everything.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Hi, Eric. I see all your questions about the Living Daylights. I'm not ignoring you. That's another rabbit hole we'll talk about another time.
Oh, that's okay. There you go. So in the movie itself, obviously, is absolute mayhem because it's a movie and it's filled with people that have not done anything before other than Clarence and Apollonia, and even Apollonia was this much little.
Right.
I mean, how you didn't have any speaking parts, but I did manage to see when we watched the movie in 4K at the Prince Celebration, and you guys were walking through the hall after performing, and it was so.
What did I say?
See you bopping behind. I was just like,
What was my line though? Come on now, Mr.
What was your line? I don't remember you had a line. What was the line?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you. You go back and watch it again as we're walking through the hallway. We're all talking smack as we're walking down the hallway, right? Right. But what was I saying right before that? We were ad-libbing. You'll have to see.
You want me to remember?
Watch the damn movie again and just rewind and go, did he say that was my one?
Got it.
Yeah.
I just got the
Oh,
okay. I'm gonna rewatch it again, and then I'll text you and I'll say, "Oh, here was your line. Here was your
there you
ad
go.
lib line. The ad lib line that I was supposed to remember."
It's
Eric,
brilliant, man. Acting. Thank you.
My
Eric,
acting brilliance.
Eric,
Brilliant. Thank
what was
you.
the line? Ain't even
Well, that-
sweating.
Nope.
Ain't even
No, it
sweating.
ain't. Eric. Nope, that's not it.
That's not it. Nice try, Eric. I thought he was gonna say.
Cassandra knows, the keyboard player who used to play with Prince. She knows. She called it out the other day on social media.
Okay.
No, never mind. You have
So-
to go watch it.
So talk about okay. I'm gonna try to get Jerry in here because he must
You
have.
try to. I'm gonna
Well-
last about 5 more minutes because these are dying and my mic is not working on my laptop.
right.
So
Jerry
All
just
right.
popped into the green room. So
Oh, there he is. Wait a minute. He's here. Hold on a second.
here we go.
Oh, let's
Jerry Hubbard in the house.
Jerry.
What's
you
going
there?
on, y'all?
Hub,
Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
what's up, Jerry?
Jerry, you get a delayed.
I'm technically challenged over here. Like,
I see.
Brother Jerry, man, I miss you.
man, I miss you too. Who's that? Is that Paul?
St. Paul. Yeah.
What's up, St. Paul?
What's up, Jerry Hubbard?
Paul, I miss you too, man.
All right. Well, we got to change all that, brother.
Let's change it. It's getting too emotional over there, man. No.
I mean, I know, man.
All right.
We're
So
getting too old to go another 10 years, bro.
yeah.
I
So
know.
all right. So Jerry, I have a couple questions for you. First off, you probably didn't do you have any visuals? I know we can't see you, but can you see us?
I can see you.
Okay.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
All right. So I had a couple questions because first off, I wanted to talk about we did talk about the fact that you were brought in kind of after Rocky when we had a picture of Rocky.
There he
My
is.
God, Rocky.
Look at him, man. Look how
Man.
young he is. Just a badass, too.
Just young. Rocky was a bad dude. Rocky. I was just hanging with Jesse yesterday and last night.
Great.
And all we talked about was Rocky. We love Rocky. We wish he was here still. But yeah, I came in later after Rocky, and it was weird. It was like, because I love Rocky. I'll tell you, Rocky was one of my mentors and one of my inspirations. And when I was a kid growing up in the hood with all those guys, Prince, Jelly Bean, Jimmy Jam, Terry, all those guys, it was cats that I looked up to in the hood. And Rocky was one of those dudes that would borrow me his bass if I was having problems getting a bass. And, he was my guy. So when he got the Time gig, I was just so happy for him. I mean, I was like, wow. But at the same time, I was thinking, how come I don't have that gig? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to be honest, I was like, wait a minute. Like, how did I miss out on that gig? It's a funny story. I'll make it short, though, but I was gigging with Alexander O'Neal at the time locally. I don't know if everyone knows him, but
Of course.
I was gigging with Alex, and Alex came into our dressing room one time. We were at a gig, and he started teasing me. He was like, "Oh, you didn't get the gig. You didn't get the gig." And I was like, "What gig?" And then Rocky walks in, and I know Rocky to wear like sweats and t-shirts, and Rocky comes in with a zoot suit and a hat, looking like he's in. Yeah, looking like he's singing with Prince all of a sudden. I'm like, yo, man, what's going on? You look good. What's up? He said, oh, I'm out there with
Sorry.
Right, yeah. And he's like, I'm out there with P, man. I was like, oh, you really? Oh, you got the Time gig? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, congratulations. And I was so happy for him. So by the time I got there, it was like bittersweet almost because I didn't know what happened. But I was really hurting for Rocky because he was my guy, and I was really happy for him. And I'll never forget when they called and told me, I think it was Jesse and Prince that called me and gave me the address to come to and everything. And I don't really talk about it a lot, but when I got there, it was a really weird experience because Rocky was still there on the set, and I'm sitting.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sitting in the car. One of Prince's bodyguards comes to me and says, why don't you sit in the car for a minute? And I'm like, cool. So I'm sitting in the car, and next thing I know, I hear this commotion, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm thinking they're gonna send me home and tell me, nah, you know, you can go back home or something. And then I hear Rocky, and I won't get deep into what I heard, but it was very emotional, and it made my situation really, really bittersweet.
Mhm.
But finally, the bodyguard came back to me, said, "Now you can come on in now." And when I went in, I was just, there's Paul Peterson, like. You know, Paul, I don't know if you remember, I congratulated you too on getting a time gig at Take Five, a club in Minneapolis.
Oh my God, Jerry, bring
Right?
it up.
You remember that?
Jeez, no.
Yeah, man. We were both just hanging, and neither one of us were playing. And I said, Paul, I heard you got the time gig. Congratulations. He said, thanks, man. You know, yeah, I'm out there with the P hanging. And it's just so
Yeah.
ironic that I was out there like 3 months later or 2 months later. I was out there with you guys. It was amazing, amazing.
Did you,
time.
hey, Hub, was your first, did you show up at the warehouse? Is that where you came? It was really cold, and we were shooting a scene with Apollonia 6.
Right.
Is that the
in
first day you,
That was my first day. It was at that old.
the old noggin still works. That's good.
Yeah. It was, and that was my first day. It was very cold, and when I showed up, it was just unreal. I walked in and just, you know, it's so wild because, like I said, I grew up with Prince, Andre Simone, Jimmy Jam, Terry, Jelly Bean, Jerome. I knew all those guys from the hood. I mean, those were the guys I was chasing their bands.
I did not.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, you were out in where were you at?
Richfield,
you
baby.
Richfield, yeah. But believe me, we knew the Petersons, but they didn't grow up on the north side. So, but anyway, yeah. I mean, it's like I grew up with all those guys. So when I walked in that first day, it was just unreal. Like I'm like, there's Jelly Bean, there's Jesse, there's Morris, there's
Wow.
Prince, you know, and I'm just like, wow, I'm out here. Somebody's gonna pinch me and go, you know, you're dreaming, wake up. So I mean, it was just unreal. But that was my first time, and I'll always remember I had a little 5 o'clock shadow on that scene, and Prince came up to me. He said, "What do you shave with?" And at the time, I was using this nasty stuff called Magic Shave, and he knew about it, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it." So if you see that scene and me in that scene, you can kind of see me in the mirror, see us in the mirror. I have a little beard kind of thing going on. The only time I had it, and man, that experience was, man, wow. I can't. It's the most special time in my life. 18, you know. And you and I are the same age, aren't we, Paul? Like.
Yeah, I think so.
Or you might have
I'm gonna be the big 6-0 in October.
Well, I'm right behind you. So
okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm your elder. That's right.
and I want and I want to thank Paul, because when I did get the gig, I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. They just plucked me out of the hood. I was playing with Alex, but you know, we weren't making a fortune. Paul used to pick me up for rehearsal. You remember that, Paul?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
You said, "Don't worry." Oh man, you roll with me. I'm gonna come and get you, man. He picked me up for rehearsal.
I used to pick Rocky up too, man. It was crazy.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
So, wait, Hubbard, check this out. So we were rehearsing, and Rocky was in the band, and he wanted to pay me back for picking him up and taking him wherever. He said,
"Right,
we're going to stop at Lake Calhoun on the north side. It's called Black Beach, right? You remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know about that.
So we would roll in there. I'd never been in there. Well, we could go buy a beer. So he said, "I'm going to buy you a beer at Lake Calhoun." I'm like, "Cool, we'll roll through there. I like it. I like beer, sure." So we rolled in there, and we parked, and then he looked at me and said, "Can I borrow some money so I can buy you a beer, man?" Thank you. That's Rocky right there, bro.
That's Rocky. Yeah, Rocky was cool, man. Like,
he was great. I love that dude.
And Rocky was on the recording that you guys made live, the live recording. Yep. Yeah. So
I just shared that with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's the one go, personality.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. Rocky. One
know,
more story about Rocky, and I'm gonna let you guys go. With one time when I was a kid and I was playing in my little bands, and Rocky was the bigger bands, Rocky, Prince, and all those guys were in there. I was doing a sound check and I broke a string, and this is how Rocky was.
was
So
it this
I was,
band? Was it this band here?
oh no, I was a little bit grown up when I got with that band. That's the Star band. This was back when I was probably 13, 14, really young.
Okay.
I was playing with some young. Dang, where'd you get that picture? That's crazy. but
Paul will tell
but,
you. Dig. So, all right, we'll come back.
but so I broke a string, and I was real just mad and just, oh man, like I got to do this gig with 2 strings or 3 strings. And so Rocky's walking down the street and he's got his bass strapped to his back, and he's like, "What's wrong, man? What's wrong? Help?" I said, "Man, I just broke a string. I don't have an extra one. I can't get to the store to get one." He said, "Look here, man. We play later in the day. Here, take my bass, do your gig, just
Wow.
take care of it and don't mess it up, and get it back to me so I can do my gig." He did that for me when I was a kid.
Wow.
So that's the kind of guy Rocky was, man. He was my guy,
Mhm.
for sure.
Wow. The question I had that we had talked about before you came on was, and I don't know if you heard this or not, but I know that both you and Rocky were on Jesse Johnson's Shockadelica album.
Yes.
What was when you two got back together? This is all post Ice Cream Castle and all the debacle that went on with that. Was there any type of hard feelings, or did you guys just start right
No.
back?
We started right back, and it was like we didn't even talk about that. Like, I don't even think we talked about it. It was just a new beginning with Jesse. It was funky, and we were just having fun. You know, we did the tour, and we hung out, and we just talked, and it was just so cool, man. Like, we didn't even get into that. It was just like old friends hanging. We're not even gonna talk about the past. So I don't even think we talked about it. Like, we just moved on and started, making gold records with Jesse and
There
having
you go.
fun with that. You know what I'm saying? Jesse came to me and he said, "You think I should get Rocky?" I was like, "That's a no-brainer." Like, 'cause,
Yeah.
I mean, Rocky can play every instrument. So to
Mhm.
get him on drums, I was like, okay, yeah, you need to get him on drums. So we picked him up, and it was a beautiful thing, man. There was no, that brings up a story. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too personal, but I started hearing things about Rocky after when we were doing Jesse's thing, and I talked to a girlfriend of his back in the day, and she said, "Yeah, don't tell Rocky I told you this." I wouldn't be saying this if Rocky was still alive, but she said, "Yeah, we went to see Purple Rain when it came out. Rocky was in tears," and I was like, "What?" And she said it hurt him really, really, really bad. I was like, "Oh wow!" But when we got in Jesse's thing, he didn't lead on to that or nothing, man. It was just like a new beginning, man. We had fun with Jesse. It was just the funnest thing, man. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I did an hour interview yesterday. I did an interview with Mark Cardenas yesterday, which is out on YouTube now for those who want to watch it. But I did an interview with Mark Cardenas, and he said the same thing, that he kind of really felt bad for Rocky because Rocky had kind of put all this work in, and he made that one egregious mistake, and he was just erased from the project, and he didn't really think that it was really a fair shake in that regard.
Well, I tell you, man, Prince he didn't play around, man. He was business. And, I was pulled to the side, and I was told a couple things. I was told, look, I think if I remember correctly, I was told Prince is spending $12,000 an hour on this movie. And if you will come late, there's no second chances. And that scared the mess out of me. I'll tell you what I was doing. I was showing up at the Purple Rain set 3 hours before people were like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I'm like, what time were we supposed to be here? Not till 4 a.m. It's like 2 a.m. or something. Why are you, like, I was getting there early. I was making sure I wasn't going to lose that gig. Like, so, I mean, they warned me though. They said, "Hey man, we're not playing around. You got to get here do your business, be on time. And so that's what I did. And so yeah, Rocky made that one mistake, and it cost him, like, you know. So I felt bad.
Mm.
But it's so funny. I asked Jesse. I said, "How come I didn't have that gig from the beginning?" You know, I was just curious. He said, "I was wondering the same thing because we had an audition. You know that?" And I said, "I didn't know that." He said the audition had bass players around the block, and I was like, "Oh, I had no clue. I was so out of the loop of that. I didn't know anything about it, because I probably would have went to it and auditioned, but." Because Jesse said, "Man, if you would have been there, it would have been a hard one with you and Rocky." I said,
Right.
"Oh, okay." But I was happy for Rocky. So yeah, I mean, like that one mistake, Prince doesn't mess around, man. You got to be on time. Jesse didn't mess around either. Jesse ran a tight ship too. So
Yes, he did. I explained how we ran rehearsals.
yeah,
You know, I was like, culture shock for me. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Paul and Mark had very different stories about how Jesse ran things. Mark said, "Oh yeah, no, Jesse was kind of working with us and kind of helping us out," and Paul was like, "Oh hell no!"
Oh hell no! Jesse cussed me out every chance he could, and I told
Well,
him that
well-
to his face.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you something. I love Jesse. Like I said, I just hung out with him last night.
Yeah.
Both him, Mark, and Paul are right. Correct. Jesse worked with us. Paul. I don't know the experience Paul had really, but he complimented me when I did well. But when I didn't, he got my butt.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, one of my biggest problems when I got into time was choreography. Playing, I had no problem. I was funky. I was ready. I was young. Like Jesse told me, he said, "Oh, playing, you got the bass line. Oh man, you killing the bass line." He said, "Man, but you're not stepping right." So he was on me. And I'll tell you something I did. I don't think Jesse even knows this. So, but I'll tell you something. I was a cocky young dude, and I would show up to rehearsal knowing I was gonna be funky on the bass and just thinking I'm gonna just hop in here and do these steps. And I would go to rehearsal and we would play, and Jesse would say, "Oh, it sounded real good." And then we start stepping, and he go, "Hub, what's going on?" And I go, "What's the problem?" He's like, "You're dancing, you're stepping." Like, and I'm like, "Is there really? It's not good?" He's like, "No, it's terrible." Like,
Oh yeah.
so I would
He
go
never
home.
sugarcoated it like that for me though.
Oh
bro.
no! Oh yeah,
Hell
no. He may not have said it's terrible. I might just be softening it up, but
You're
but I would go.
softening it.
I would go home every night and not practice. So one day I get a call from Jesse, and he's real dark sounding. Like, I'm not used to this call, and he's like, "Jerry," and I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Well, hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh shit, my heart's beating." I'm like, "What's up? What's up?" He's like, "Man, well, I don't know, man. Like, and I said, and he's like, "Well, he says, we need someone who can step. Your bass playing is amazing, but you gotta get these dance steps. I'm gonna give you a little more time. I'm gonna tell you what I did, man. You can ask my mother; she'll tell you. I went out and bought some full-length mirrors, sat up in my room, and quit going out and showing off or whatever I was doing, and I sat in there for hours working on the Jungle Love steps and all those steps. When I put in the work, I went to rehearsal, did the choreography, and Jesse said, "That's it! Oh my God, what you been doing?" I said, "Oh,
Right.
you got to work, man. This ain't no joke right here. You got to go put the time and the effort
Oh
into
yeah.
it." Yeah, so I was happy. He was happy. He says, "Oh, you got it now. What you been doing?" I said, "Man, I've been doing nothing but practicing dancing with my bass in the mirror." And he said, "Well, that's what you have to do, man. You got to work at it. You got to practice." He said, "I knew you weren't practicing. You weren't working on them." And so I finally got him, man. And but he was a hard dude. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't think Jesse would get mad, but when I first entered the band, I was a little cocky, and Jesse called me outside. It was the funniest thing, man. I couldn't believe it. He said, "Oh, you think you bad? What? come on, meet me outside. And he took his guitar. You remember that, Paul?
Oh,
He
no.
used to do the same thing with me too, man. He would take us right outside that old warehouse on Highway 7, bro.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Oh
Go
my
ahead.
God.
I got
he,
to.
he said, man, he said, come outside. And then I looked at Bean and Jerome, and they were like, don't go out there, man. And because I was cocky from the hood, and I was used
Oh,
to
yeah.
fighting and stuff. So I was like,
Mhm.
I'm going to go out there, man. And they're like, don't go out there. If you want your job, don't go out there. And I said,
Mhm.
okay. So I
Right.
stayed in, and then Jesse came back in, and he said, I thought so. Now let's go back to the beginning. And I was like, okay, this dude ain't messing around with me, man. But I love that, like, you know, it's so funny. Like, my father was like that with me, so I was used to that.
Got it.
My father would tell me, like, come outside. You think you bad? You little, you know. I'm like, yo, man, you gonna beat me up? You're my dad. Like, he's hard. My dad was hard on me. So when I got with
Wow.
Prince and those guys, I was used to that. Like, so I was just like, okay, tough love, big brothers, dad, you know. I mean, it's all good, you know. So, but yeah, Jesse was hard. I got to tell you this one story. One time I showed up to rehearsal late. I don't know if Paul remembers this. I had some car trouble or something, and I just knew I got a rocky situation. He's gonna fire me when I get there. I get to the warehouse, and I didn't even know Prince was in town. I'm thinking Jesse's gonna be mad at me, you know. And I get there, and Prince is there, Sheila
Oof.
E's there, Fred Moultrie, the accountant,
Ooh, the accountant.
Revolution.
Yeah.
You remember that, Paul? Everybody.
Keep going. Keep going. I want to hear.
Everybody was sitting there waiting to watch us. The Revolution Prince had everybody sitting there like the audience. They were going to watch us rehearse and watch our show.
Oh,
And I was the only one not there.
Ooh.
So I said, Prince is going to wear me out when I get there. And then when I got there, to my surprise, man, Prince just said, what's up, Hub? I said, hey, man. He said, get your bass on. Come on, let's go, man. We've been waiting for you. And then towards the end, he came up to me. He said, man, you you just lost some money, don't you? I said, what? He said, you just lost some money. He said, you just bought me a new pair of socks. And I was thinking, oh, socks? That ain't nothing. He said, man, my socks cost $200 though. I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
And he took it too. He took that from me, man. And he said,
Did he?
Yeah, he took the money. My check.
There wasn't much to find in those days, man. Our check was lean.
So my check was very lean.
Super lean.
If it wasn't for Purple Rain, we would have been very, very lean. Purple Rain paid well, but being in the time wasn't that
Back
much.
in those days. And
Back in those days.
I got to say one thing because I got to split. Hubbard, dude, you are one of the most talented, gifted, all-around musician, writer, producer. I miss you, brother, and you need to get the accolades you deserve. You guys, this is one of the baddest dudes on the planet. And Hubbard, I love you, man, and
Paul,
happy 40th anniversary.
Happy 40th, man, and you too. This dude is so bad. Like, people know this guy plays every instrument. Like, so I gotta tell this little story. I know Paul has to leave, but when I got in the time, I was surprised he was on keyboard because I known him as a bass player.
Right.
So I was like, he's playing keys, and he was killing the keys, and I said, okay, dang, man, this dude's so talented. It just blew my mind. Like, he was killing the keys, and I knew he could play the bass like crazy. So I mean, Paul plays everything. Man, crazy.
We love him.
Yeah, man. You got to split though, huh? You got to go.
Yeah, but Jared, don't go anywhere.
You stay on.
Oh, I'm gonna stay on. Yeah.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this, you guys. And thanks for celebrating the three new guys in the time.
Right.
And reminding people that really happened.
It did happen.
Because
we're doing
it
this
is super important that people realize that was a phase of the band that was probably the most successful.
Yeah.
Let's just call it for what it is. All right.
Right.
That's right.
But you know, even though it doesn't get celebrated as much, people know though. I get people all the time. They know that Ice Cream Castle. It was like the biggest time album, really. Like
It was.
people,
It
yeah,
was-
people know that Jungle Love and the Bird and all that. They know that. So
Hey,
Yeah.
Hub, I got another orange suit made. Ha ha! Just to celebrate 40 years.
man, that's so crazy, man.
I'm gonna
I
text
don't
you a
have
picture of it, brother.
Do you have any of that stuff left? Like any
Sure,
of
I
your?
got all my wardrobe.
Man, I lost.
I
mine.
can't fit into shit, but
I lost mine, man. You still got all the family stuff too? The pajamas.
I got
and
my
everything?
robe, I got my pajamas, I got everything.
Oh
Man,
my God.
cool, man. Paul, I love you, man. Take it easy,
Love
man.
you.
We'll talk soon.
God bless you, brother. Thanks you all.
All right.
Thank you,
Have a
Paul.
great
man.
night.
We appreciate you.
Have a good night, brother. Thank you. That was Paul Peterson. Oh my gosh. Everybody give him a round.
Yeah. That's my boy.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Man.
All right. So, Jerry, like, okay, I think you went into a little bit because one of the questions I had was, how were you contacted and brought in? And you said that, Prince and Jesse had contacted you and the whole debacle that happened outside when you had to wait in the car. So that
Yeah.
question was answered, but I wanted to step back for a second because, I kind of already blew that because I shared this image. Tell me a little bit about the Style Band. And because a lot of people don't know this band had some famous members in it also.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. A great band. I think they were out of Rock Island, Illinois. They're from the same place Jesse's from.
Mhm.
So that was very interesting. But how I hooked up with the Style Band, it was kind of crazy. I had a friend I grew up with. His name was Kevin Johnson, and he was a guitar player. He's actually the one that brought me out of the basement as a kid. Before I met him, I was just in my basement playing instruments and tons of instruments and having fun and didn't know too many people yet. I was still young, really young. But one day I caught him by my basement window listening, and I went out and said, "Hey, what's going on?" He said, "Is that you playing all the instruments?" Anyway, make a long story short, he used to come to me and say, "Hey, man, this band is doing this and doing that. You want to go hang with me?" And I would go, "Oh, yeah, let's go." So one night he told me about the Style Band, and they were playing at a club called The Taste. And in Purple Rain, there's a club called The Taste. Prince modeled after the actual Taste. There was
Mhm.
actually a club. And they were playing down there, and he asked me if I'd go down there with him. And I said, "Yeah, let's go hang. So we went down there, and I watched them, and they blew me away. They were so good, like before I even got in the group. They had a guy on bass named Al Emery, I think it was his name. He was a good guy. He's a nice guy. But I think he was planning to leave the band. I didn't know it at that time. But when the gig was over, they asked if we would like to come and jam with them. And at the time, they were rehearsing in Andre Simone's sister's basement. So there was a connection to Andre Simone there. And so we all went over there and we jammed. And they said, "Well, what do you play?" And I said, "Well, at the time, I was a drummer and a bass player. I started on drums. And then I switched to bass. But I said, "Well, I play drums and bass." And they said, "Well, you want to play some drums?" I said, "Yeah." I got on the drums. I tore the drums up. And they were like, "Oh, man, your feel on the drums is crazy. Like, we would love to have you as a drummer, but we already have a drummer, and he's kind of the leader of the band." So I said, "Okay." They said, "But our bass player is planning on leaving. Would you be interested in bass?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, why don't you grab the bass and let's jam and hear what you do on the bass?" And I played the bass, and they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, we got the bass player now. We got the bass replacement." And so they asked me if I wanted to do the gig, and I said, "Yeah." And so I ended up gigging with them for a while. And of course, Screamer, Craig Paul from Maserati,
Yep. Maserati. Yep.
he was in that group. He was one of the members. Greg, I don't know Greg's last name, the keyboard player. He ended up coming out to LA and writing some songs for Aaron Hall and doing some stuff. So yeah, there was a few people in there that Sheila Rankin's Craig Powell's sister ended up being in the Andre Simone group called The Girls. So yeah, that group was full of talent, and man, I had the time of my life. That was kind of like the first professional group that I was with that actually gigged, and we got paid, and we traveled a little bit. I think we did some stuff in Canada, but yeah, that was a good group. And me and Screamer really became real close. Of course, bass player and the guitar player, we became really close. And I was shocked when he walked into the warehouse with Prince for the first time. You know, I was already out there with the time, and I was like, Craig, Screamer, what's up? And he's like, yeah, Prince was about to do something with them. So that was amazing to see him out there. And
How?
sad that he passed away too. So that was really sad too. But yeah, that's how I got into Style Band, and I stayed with them for a while. And just to tell an honest story, we went to Canada. We went to Winnipeg, Canada to do a show. And when we got back to Minneapolis, we were all told that there was really no money that was made, and all the money that was made needed to go to take care of the band's house and stuff. And at the time, I was like, well, I still live with my mom. I was young, I was like, I still live with my mom. I need some money. Like, we're not making money. They're like, nah. And I'm like, well, man, I got to make money. I can't be paying the bills in the band house. And so I ended up leaving the band. And then that's how I got with Alexander O'Neal. One day I was riding my bike. I was still riding bikes at that time, but I was riding my bike over North Minneapolis, and a car stopped and pulled up on me and said, "Hey man, you Jerry Hubbard?" I'm like, "Yeah, who are you?" Like, he's like, "I heard you're a bad bass player," and I'm like, "Yeah, I could play, man." He said, "My name is Alexander O'Neal, and I'm looking for a bass player for a project I'm doing. Would you be interested?" I said, "Yeah." And so he gave me the address, and I went and auditioned for Alex. And I ended up playing with Alex all the way up until I got with the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
And we're now I know, for those who don't know, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of really self-proclaimed Prince historians here who are aware of this, but there are some that aren't. Alexander O'Neal used to sing for the time in place of Morris Day, and was let go because as the story told, was that Alexander asked for a lot when it came time to get to the record deal part. He was like, I want a house, I want a car.
Right. Hey, like only reason I'll talk about it is because I heard Terry and Jimmy already talk about it.
Yeah.
but they told the story, and the story is true. Like Alex was a different kind of dude. He wasn't intimidated by anyone. Like when I gigged with Alex, all those guys, that's how I got recognized to do the time thing, because I was with Alex. And so at Alex's gigs, Alexander O'Neal's gigs, anyone could be in the house. Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam, Prince, Morris Day, Jesse. If they were in town, they would probably come down to see us. We were like the premier group in Minneapolis. We'd sell out all our shows. And so I'll never forget one time we were doing First Avenue. We were doing the main stage in First Avenue, and everybody was whispering like, Prince wants to come through. Prince is coming through. He wants to come back in the dressing room too. So I'm not in the time yet. I'm not, and I'm thinking, oh, Prince is coming through. So let's, put the liquor out, put the weed out. Like, not that I was doing it, but I was like, and Alex is like, what? This is my dressing room. And I was like, oh, okay. And so Prince came in, and Alex stayed the same. He doesn't play around. Like he's not intimidated by anything. And Prince came in and said hi to everybody and walked through for a minute, and then he left. And I thought, okay, like that was weird, but so I can imagine that Alex was like, okay, how much am I getting? And being told he was getting crumbs and saying, oh no, I ain't going for that. Here's a funny story I'll tell you. When I got the time gig, I hadn't, like, this is how small Minneapolis is. Like, I hadn't even been to sleep to wake up the next day and realize this really happened. Like, Alex came knocking on my door, and I was like, who is it? He's like, Alexander O'Neal, man. Like, open up. And I opened it. He said, so you the new bass player for the time? And I said, oh shit, how'd you hear that? Like, and I'm sure he talks to Mars and all of that all the time. So he said, don't worry about it, man. I know about it. Did you accept the gig with Morris Day and the Time? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, what about what we're doing? And I said, well, man, come on, man. Like, this is what this is all about, is going to another level, isn't it? Like, and he says, yeah, but we have gigs. We have things going on. I said, I was going to talk to you and I was going to try to, fulfill my obligations before I move on. And he was really upset with me. He didn't like the fact. And he actually said to me, well, do you think you're going to make a lot of money? I said, well, at my age, I'm not really hung up on money yet. I said, but I'm loving the fact that I'm going to be on another level. Like, this level is unbelievable, And so we talked a while. He left. He was still kind of upset with me, but we left. He was so upset with me, and he had me so upset. I went up. I'll never forget. I went to Prince. I said, Prince, man, can I talk to you for a minute? And he said, yeah. What's going on? I said, look here, man. Alex had like 4 or 5 gigs set up, and I really feel like I should fulfill my obligations. And what do you think about me just finishing that? And Prince looked at me and he said, man, do you want to make movies or do you want to play club scene in Minneapolis? And I said, oh, okay, there's my decision. Like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's what he said.
Oh my God.
He said that to me. He said, you want to make movies or you want to play the club scene in Minneapolis? And I said, all right, cool. That's a done deal. So I never did play with Alex again. And they found a replacement for me and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can see Alex saying, oh no, man, I need a house. You got to pay me this. No.
You've had a bunch of rough situations. I mean, every single move that you made seemed to be stitched with conflict. Like,
tough move.
like the situation with you stepping into the time with Rocky, and also stepping out of Alexander O'Neal. And then there's the legendary, and I want you to tell this story for people who haven't heard it, the decision that you had to make between Jesse Johnson's Review and The Family.
I know. Like, it's amazing. I'm gonna tell you something. This is the story of my life, just in general. Like, I always have decisions to make. It's so funny. Like,
So how this happened?
So I have to tell you a story how the time led into The Family. The day that Jesse decided he was moving on, just to get that out of the way in an easy way. There was more to it, but I won't go into it. But when Jesse decided he was moving on, Prince had a meeting with all of us: Jerome, me, Paul, St. Paul, Jelly Bean, Mark Cardenas. We all sat there with Prince, and he told us on the spot. So it must have been something he was thinking of, but he told us on the spot, I've always wanted a band called The Family. And we were like, okay. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I got to tell you this. When he said that, it really struck home for me, because I'll tell you something. When I was growing up, one of the baddest bands in our neighborhood was called The Family.
With Sonny T.
And
Right.
Sonny T was the featured dude in that band. So when he said The Family, I said, oh, is he trying to go back and reminisce about, Sonny and them were no joke. So when he said that, it was like, okay, cool. He talked to us for a while, and then he dismissed us and said, if you guys want to go ahead and take off. I stayed around like I would always do. I just lingered. And so Prince looked up and was like, everybody was gone, but I'm sitting there, and he's like, oh, what's going on, man? I said, oh, I don't know. What's up? Like, any chance I got, I was trying to hang with Prince, and it happened a lot. But I stayed, and then so Prince said, oh, you want to hang or something? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just going to hang out with you, man. I don't have nothing to do. Like, so he says, okay, so maybe we should start putting the Family album together. And I'm like, really? Yeah, let's do it. Like, So it was me, him, and Susan Rogers. And Prince told Susan, he says, can you go and grab the master tapes? And I'll never forget, she came back. I don't know if she went to his house or wherever she went. She came back with this stack of tapes. And Prince started, because at this time, Prince had a studio in the warehouse. The one that, I forgot what area that it was. The same studio where we were when we were shooting Purple Rain and stuff. But he had built the studio, and then I think he cut the family album in that studio. But we were sitting in that studio, and Susan came back with the masters, and he started putting reels on the tape. And he said, "Hub, man, wait till you hear this one. Man, I'm getting ready to hit you." He said, "Just tell me, I want to know what you think. Should we put this on the album?" He started playing stuff from basically the vault. And the first song he put on was Maserati's 100 Miles Per Hour, but before it was theirs, when it was his. And he put the reel on, and he hit play. And that stuff said, down, 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 down. And I was sitting there like, oh yeah, like, and then when it went into the groove, I was like, my head was like, I was about to break my neck, and he was just looking at me like, and me and him both were grooving. It was just him and I, and then when the song went off, he says, "You think that's a good song for the family?" And I was like, "Man, that's a good song for anyone. Like, you should put that out. That's funky." Like, I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." And he's like, "Okay." So he started playing all these songs. And then he played like 3 songs. He played a song called "You Have a Wonderful Ass." He played 100 Miles Per Hour. He played a couple other songs I can't remember. And then we hung out, and I remember we jammed a little bit. I was on drums. He was on bass. And then I finally went home at some ridiculous hour, like 6 in the morning or something. And then the family was formed. That's how the family was formed. And then we went from being on Morris Day's payroll to all our checks now saying PRN, Prince's thing.
Right.
So I'm getting checks from Prince now. I think everybody was. He put us on his payroll. And then I'm thinking that he's putting the album together from songs that he has already. And then, funny story, sorry I'm going in all these long stories, but I'm having memories.
It's
Love
great,
it.
man.
One time I was in First Avenue, and I was talking to a cousin of mine. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Pierre Lewis. He was part of the
94 East.
94 East. Now,
Yeah.
Pierre Lewis is my cousin. I'm related to Pierre, the Lewis brothers, Pierre and Andre. So me and Pierre are in First Avenue talking. I haven't seen him since I got into Time. And so he's like, how's everything going? I'm like, "Oh, man, it's great, man." He says, "How's Prince? How's he treating you, man?" I said, "Oh, Prince is on point, man. He's my guy, man." Like, he's like, "Yeah." He said, "You guys hanging out?" I said, "No, we're not really like that, but, we rehearse and we do our thing, but, he's on that level, so." And then, make a long story short, he looks over at the door and says, "Speak of the devil." And I look over and I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said, "There's Prince and Chick." And I said, "Okay." So Prince comes up and he's like, "You gonna holler at him?" And I've learned about Prince. Prince, you never know what mood or what Prince you're gonna find. So it's best to just stay quiet and not do anything to embarrass yourself.
No sudden movements.
Right. So Prince comes in and he walks past me and Pierre, and I think he noticed me finally, and then he turns and abruptly backs up, and he says, "Hub, what's going on?" And gives me this huge hug, and my cousin Pierre's looking at me like, "Really? I thought you just said you." I'm like, "Okay, I guess we are real cool." He gives me a big hug and he says, "Hub, you gotta hear the new stuff." And I'm like, "What new stuff?" And he's like, "The family album is, oh man, wait till you hear this stuff. It's like, it's time, man." Like, I'm like, "What?" And so then he starts bragging to me about this guy I'd never heard of named Eric Leeds. And he's like, "Man, we got this corn player named Eric Leeds." And I'm like, "Eric Leeds? Why does that sound familiar?" He says, Alan Leeds. It's his brother." And I'm like, "Really?" To give you a little background on that, there's another guy from the hood that we all looked up to. We called him Batman, and his name was David Island. David, sax player. You heard of him? He grew up with Prince and all of us. Yeah, he was. Well, anyway, Prince wanted him in the family. He talked to me about it. He said, "You think I should call David Island?" I was like, "Yeah, call. See if he'll do it." I don't think David Island was interested in doing it. I don't know if Prince ever called him or how that worked out. But anyway, it ended up being Eric Leeds. So he's bragging to me about Eric Leeds, and I'm thinking to myself, well, didn't we listen to some songs? What does he talk about this new stuff? I didn't realize Prince had went and cut a whole new album for the family, The Screams of Passion and Nothing Compares to You and all that. And so he told me to come out to the warehouse and listen to it. And I was like, wow, you know, so that's how I was still in the family at that time. And I was getting payroll checks. But at the same time, Jesse was calling me and he was coming over to my house. And he was like, Hub, I really want you to do my thing. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? What you got going on? He said, man, I just signed a deal with A&M Records. And I'm like, really? So he's like, yeah. So he's like, how you doing as far as money and everything, man? And I'm like, you know, I'm cool. I'm still getting Prince checks. And he's like, well, here, I got a little something for you, man. And he broke me off a little grip of something, you know. He was doing really, really well at that time. And he's like, think about, man, if you want to come play bass with me, I really would love to have you play bass. At the same time, Prince was coming up to me going, man, I'm really happy to have you on bass with the family. I mean, he actually came to me and said that. He said, I'm so excited to have you on the bass with the family. So I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, and then Morris, I talked to Morris. Morris told me he was doing a solo thing and to stay tuned. You know, Morris didn't go as extensively into it as Prince and Jesse, but he kind of let me know I'm about to do something solo. And, you know, so I was like, oh, wow, you know, like, what am I going to do? Because I definitely want to hang with Prince.
Right.
So I talked to my pops. I went to my pops. I said, I'm in a dilemma. You know, I told him, I said, Prince really wants me to play bass with the family. Jesse wants me to go with him. And he says, well, where do you want to be? I said, I'd love to hang with Prince, of course. Like, I don't really want to switch up. But I said, I love Jesse, and Jesse's about to do something big, and I know it. So he's like, man, you got to figure that one out, because Prince is like the biggest thing in the world right now. Like, I'm like, I know, man. So I had a lot to try to figure out. So what it boiled down to this, I asked Prince, one day Prince was in the First Avenue. He had a little booth that he used to sit in First Avenue and just watch. And so I caught him up in that booth one day, and I went up there. I said, Prince, can I talk to you, man? And he's like, yeah, sit down, man. What's going on? I said, hey, Prince, man, you know, I really want to tap into some of this production and songwriting, because I had aspirations of writing and producing and stuff too. So Prince was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I really want to get into some production. I want to do some writing and producing. And he kind of gave me this look like, oh, now you want to be competition kind of thing. And I'm like, huh? He's very competitive. And so he looked at me and he said, man, Hub, I have so many tunes in my head, I can't even get them all out. And so I'm sitting there real perplexed, like, what does that mean? Like, like I'm thinking, what does he mean by that? Like, because does he understand that I'm just saying help a brother out, give a brother a hand, put me in the mix of this? So he basically told me, man, I got so many songs, I don't need writers. And I think he was basically telling me, I don't need writers and producers, I need players, musicians. So it kind of set me on a path where I was like, okay, I'm looking for that. So I went to Jesse and I said, Jesse, I kind of want to get into some writing and some producing. And Jesse said, oh, man, I'm going to have you, man, you're going to be on so much stuff, man. We're going to have so much work. Don't worry. And he actually fulfilled that, too. So that's kind of how my decision was made. I kind of felt like Prince wasn't going to be open to. But when I look back on it, I say to myself, maybe I should have tried Prince, because he, you know, maybe it took me to be in his face and playing and writing and saying, listen to this, for him to do it. But Jesse came through, and Jesse said, man, I'm going to have you working, don't worry, you know. And so I decided, I said, okay, I'm going to go. I said, another thing I wanted to know is, when is your album coming out, and when is your thing dropping? And he told me a date, and the date was coming up, and the family's thing wasn't coming up that quick. So I said, I want to do the next thing, because I don't want to take too much time off, you know. And so I told Jesse, okay, I'm going to come and do your thing. And the same thing that happened with Alex with the time happened with Prince and Jesse, because one day I went to my mailbox looking for my Prince check, and it wasn't there. And I was like, why isn't my check here? So I called out to Prince's people, and they said, aren't you Jesse's bass player now? And I said, oh. I said, how did you know that? Like, I told Jesse that, but not anyone else. Like, but I said, okay, it makes sense. So I told Jesse, man, Prince cut the check off, man. He's like, okay, cool, let's move on, man. So we dropped Jesse's albums, and I did the Jesse thing, which is cool. And Jesse did come through. We were working on Janet Jackson. I don't know if you're familiar that the Control album was originally supposed to be produced by Jimmy Jam and Jesse Johnson, or Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Jesse Johnson.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, we were all, and Jesse brought me in on it, and we were going to do half the album, and Jimmy and Terry were going to do half the album, and that was going to be the project. And so a lot of people don't know Jesse produced Janet before Jimmy and Terry did. He produced on her, I forgot the name of the album, but she was on a scooter on the cover of it. So Jesse was working with Janet. Like, I met Janet way before her Control album came out. She was out there hanging out with Jesse.
Oh, I mean, but Jesse was like always in the mix with something, whether it was Tamara in the Scene or whether it was Da Crash. I mean, he was like everything.
He also did that Pretty in Pink, the movie song.
Oh yeah, I just want to get to know ya.
Oh yeah. So he was working, and he was bringing me in on some stuff too. One of my biggest songs with him was Affection, so with Tamara in the Scene. So that's how I made my decision, but it just seems like all my opportunities are always mixed with a decision or some bitterness. Like it's just it's amazing. It still happens. I'll tell you a short story because I know this is not about that, but I ended up signing a publishing deal with Michael Jackson's company. Michael heard some stuff of mine and really loved it and signed me. And when I got with his company, I had two groups trying to get the same song. One of the groups was called Color Me Bad. I don't know if you remember them.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they had this song called I Want to Sex You Up. They wanted a song, and then another group wanted a song, and I said, why do I always get in these situations? I gotta choose between these guys. Like, and of course I didn't go the right way. Color Me Bad ended up selling like 8 million records. And I went with the other group. But anyway, I mean, it just always seems like that. And, I just figured that's just the way it is for me, and, I got to just make decisions, hard decisions,
Everybody's in here saying that the album you're talking about from Janet is Dream Street. Shout out to GT and Paige Smith and all these folks that are saying that.
Yeah, that's the name of it. And Jesse produced songs on that album, and that was way before the Control album came out. So but we did like 5 tunes for Janet, and 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, were mine, like songs that I took Jesse, and he said, yeah, let's cut this on Janet. So I don't know where the songs are or what, Jesse probably has them somewhere, but we and then Terry and Jimmy and Jesse, I won't get into it because I don't know what happened, but eventually we weren't on the album anymore. So, but when it first started, it was supposed to be all of us producing Janet, which was very hurtful because Janet sold like 80 million records.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stories. Yeah, there's a bunch of stories of people that felt slighted out of that project for sure. And it started as a whole different project, and then and it went to. But I remember the first time meeting Janet. She was at our warehouse. I didn't even know who she was. Like, she was just this shy girl sitting back at the soundboard, and I walked in the rehearsal, and Jesse's like, "Hey man, you say hi to Janet?" And I'm like, "Who? Janet who?" Like, he's like, "Janet Jackson," and he pointed over there. I was like, "That's Janet Jackson." Like, I was tripping. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" She's hi. She's very shy and just reserved and laid back. You think you meet Jackson, she's gonna be wild, but she was younger then,
And but yeah, Jesse was hanging out with her a long time before the Control album came out. So yeah, and then so then I went with Jesse, and Jesse had a couple gold records or whatever, did his thing. I love Jesse, man. That's my guy, man. He put me on and brought me in, and he was happy to have me in the time, and and I got a lot of love when I got in the time. Even Prince used to come up to me. Prince said something to me once, and I didn't know what it meant, but I took it as a compliment. He came up to me and he says, "Hug," he says, "Man, I'm really happy to have you." He says, "You play the bass lines like I played them." And I said, "Oh yeah?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm really happy to have you on bass." So okay, cool. But even that was bitter, not even from a Rocky standpoint, because I'll tell you something about the time. Like I said, I grew up with all those guys in Minneapolis. Terry Lewis was big influence on me. I used to go see. I used to ride my bike and see Flight Time, setting up their band in the park or something, and I'd sit there and wait for them to play, and I couldn't wait. And Terry Lewis was the baddest dude ever. Like, you know what I mean? Nice guy. I always knew Terry Lewis was gonna be successful, man, because he was on his thing back in the day, man. They had a bus, a converted school bus that they put a Flight Time on the side, and they was gigging and they were organized. And I said, this dude, he got it going on, man. Like, so I wasn't surprised when Terry and Jimmy made it. And Jimmy, that's my cat too. I love them cats, man. Like, so when the time broke up, way before the Replacements started, I was crushed. As a young dude in the hood, one of my friends came to me and said, "Hey, did you hear?" And I was like, "What?" I never heard anything from on my own. And he said, "Man, I think Terry Lewis and Jimmy aren't with the time anymore." And man, I'm telling you, I got real sad, And the reason I got really, really sad is because I thought, oh man, my boys is making it. They on the big scene, and now things is crumbling. What's going on? I thought that was going to be bad for Minneapolis, And so I was crushed. And I tell you, man, Terry, you can have a sub for Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, but there can't be a replacement. There's only one time. That's
right.
That's the
right.
time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's Jimmy, Terry, Jesse, Jelly Bean. Those are the guys I admired, and I heard the first album was tripping. I know Prince wrote all the songs, but that's the time. So when I got with the time, I never really looked at it as a permanent spot. I always looked at it as, we're just subs right now. And I was looking for a chance to shine on my own or find my own direction in there, but I didn't see it lasting long because I said, we're the original members. Like, these are my boys. Like, this isn't the time. Like, I was just as hurt as they were when the thing crashed down like that. So, yeah, I just wanted you to know how much I admire all of those guys way before I got involved with it. It's just, you can't replace them guys. They're just cold-blooded cats, man. Like, when I was younger, they were just as cold. Their musicianship was just Prince, Jimmy, Terry, Jelly Bean, Monty Moyer. I remember all of them going to see them as a young boy, running around the hood, trying to figure out where they were going to play. And it just, you can't replace them, man. Like, you can sub for them, you can't replace them, man. That's the bottom line. So, yeah.
So what are you doing now? What are you? I mean, now this, obviously we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Ice Cream Castle tonight. July 9th, 1984 is when that album was released. I can't wrap my head back those 40
well,
years.
I'll tell you one thing I'm doing right now. I'm getting older. Wow, 40.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 56, and so we're like,
are you?
Yeah, so it's like it's just amazing that it's just I can't wrap my head around how.
I have a couple years on you, and it's just amazing. But you know what's more amazing? I don't feel as old as everything that's going around me is.
Same.
I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm still that young,
I don't feel
still trying to make it. Like, no, I don't feel old, man. Like, I just feel
right.
A little.
when I hear stuff like the 40th anniversary, I'm like, oh. Or when I talk to a young guy, like if I'm in the gym working out, and he's like, "When were you born?" "Oh, I was born in 2000." "What? 2000?"
Right. What?
Can you drink?
That's great.
Can you
Right?
vote?
Yeah. It's like, man, I didn't think anyone was born after I was born. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
2000 doesn't even make sense to hear.
right. Well, I've done a lot of stuff since. When I left Jesse, I ended up. Believe it or not, I got back with Alexander O'Neal for a minute. I did a gig in San Francisco with the AIDS benefit. We did it with Natalie Cole, a girl named Brenda K. Starr, who had a background singer that everybody was tripping on. Everybody was like, "Who's that background singer?" It ended up being Mariah Carey. But back in them days, I did a gig with Alex, but then I didn't stay with him that long. I left Alex, and then I ended up. A friend of mine started a college. A friend of mine and Paul Peterson. We both ended up working at this college. We taught for a while. Paul may have stayed there a little longer than me, but I think I taught for like four years at this college in Minneapolis called IPR Institute, Institute of Recording and Production. And so I taught there. I did a tour in Japan. I was over in Japan 2000, and this was a while ago, but I toured Japan, and I toured Japan with John Blackwell, Mike Scott,
Wow.
and Tony Royster, and I think it was just us, just us over there from here, and everyone else was Japanese. So we went over there and we toured for a while, and then when I got back from that tour, I chilled for a while, and then I ended up in a group, all-star group. I don't know if you've heard of it, called The Truth.
Yes, we talked about that right before you were struggling to get online.
Right.
We were talking about The Truth, and
The Truth.
that on Discogs you can still find the CD for The Truth.
It's out there.
You can find it. Yeah, you can still.
It is. If anybody can find that, it's The Truth.
It is.
And it was St. Paul Peterson. It was you. It was who else was in that then?
Eric Leeds.
Eric Leeds, right? I'm trying to remember everybody that was on it.
Kirk Johnson.
Oh, yep.
Actually, Kirk was kind of the leader of it, but it was Kirk Johnson, Jelly Bean Johnson, Eric Leeds, Paul Peterson, myself, and we actually had one of Mint Condition's musicians, Odell, the guitar player for Mint Condition. He did it with us.
Wow.
And then we had numerous people come and sit in with us, like Stokely from Mint Condition. He would sit in and do the drum gig for a while. So it was a really nice.
Yeah,
nice thing, yeah.
If you guys can find that CD, freaking get it. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think it's a collector. Like everyone in it has something to do with Prince at some time, and Chance Howard too. Chance Howard was in it. Yeah. I hope Chance Howard's doing well. I heard he had an accident, but yeah, he was in it, and it was a fun thing, man. It was hard to keep it going because everyone had side gigs. Of course, Jelly Bean was still doing the time thing, and Odell was still doing the Mint Condition thing, and Paul Peterson was going out, I think, with Donnie. I forgot his name, but he was touring with some people and stuff, and so you never knew who you were gonna play with every week because everybody was doing so much stuff. So I mean, it was hard just to keep it together because we had some ideals of putting a studio album together and touring, but we got great reception. We did Chicago and a couple different gigs, and people came out packed. So it could have been something good, but so I've done a little bit of here and there, and I had a son in 2008, and actually that's what made me jump out of the Truth. I was told that I was going to have a little one, and so I was very Yeah, I was very excited about that. So I wanted to be a dad at that point. And not that I wasn't a dad, because I have 2 daughters too, but
Mhm.
I wanted to, be there with my son. And so I decided to, move on from the group. And then now, recently, I've made new contact with Jesse. I don't want to talk too much about it, but me and him have been in talks, and I think I'm going to join his. You're going to start seeing a lot more of him.
Well, and
Awesome.
there's been talk about a new album now for years, and now that I've kind of seen him come out and actually start doing shows over in LA again,
Yeah.
I was like, is he trying any of this stuff out? I never heard anybody say, "Oh, he's got some new material that he tried out." I didn't hear anybody say that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that there's new
without
material.
saying too much, he got some funky stuff. So
Oh, I know he did.
people,
Believe it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
get
I was
ready.
a hardcore Jesse fan.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
oh my God. I had
Absolutely.
when from Jesse Johnson's review, I was obsessed with Jesse Johnson's review. I have to find the pink suit. I have to find the pink suit. I actually had an opportunity to meet him. Oh my gosh, I do actually have it. I'm gonna share this picture. Hold on a second. This is how obsessed I was with Jesse Johnson. I got an opportunity to meet him in Atlanta, and I showed him this picture of me from the 80s wearing a pink suit.
Whoa! Look at that. That's crazy. You look like you should have been on the album, man. Like, that's
I
crazy.
know. I was obsessed with all things Prince back in this day, and I showed this to Jesse. I said, Jesse, I wore this because of you. And he goes, don't blame that shit on me.
He's like, don't.
Yeah, I was obsessed. I was so obsessed with all things Jesse Johnson. And I have every single one of Jesse's albums, every single that he ever did, the dance mix. I have my vinyl collection of Jesse is just massive. It was just crazy.
Man, Jesse is a bad dude, man. Like, it is no joke, man. I think he scared Prince a little bit when he was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. Sure. He is no joke, man. I'll tell you something about the Pink, a story. It's really funny. So when we were doing the Jesse tour, we were playing, with a lot of people. Like, we toured extensively with New Edition. So I knew Bobby Brown and Bobby, Ronnie, Mickey, Mike, or whatever their names are. Like, we hung out with them. Like, we toured all over with them. But we also toured with Patti LaBelle, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Tina Marie. But one night we were hanging out after we did a gig, and I think it was Frankie Beverly and Maze, one of those old school groups that I grew up watching and admiring and couldn't believe they were like loving us. Like, but one day we all ended up at a restaurant eating after the concert, and one of the guys came up. He said, "Man, I like you guys, man, and what you doing, all the Minneapolis stuff, the Prince stuff is it's amazing." He said, "But what's up with the Pink and purples?" And I started laughing. I was like, they were like, "Why are you guys like pink? What's up with it?" Because all of our gear was pink, all of our amps. It was the pinkest stage. I don't know if you've seen us in concert, but everything was pink. Jesse made everything pink. So they asked us, though, well, what's up with the colors? Like, you guys are really into colors, pinks and purples. It was funny, man.
What
we were like, hey,
did he ever have an excuse for it? I mean, did he have something?
No, I think that he just chose that as his color, and he wore it well too. I mean,
oh yeah, he did. He killed it.
Yeah, he wore it well. I honestly think the first time he in purple on that Ice Cream Castle album, or not purple, but pink on the Ice Cream Castle album.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, he's in pink.
That's kind of like that's almost pink. That's pink.
Yeah,
pink enough.
I think that's when he first started, wearing that. And he's fly right there, man. I like that.
Yeah,
man, he could wear it. I think I look crazy in pink. I had a white suit, but I had a pink shirt.
I do too.
Right? Like, I'm not going all pink.
Yeah, I mean, there's like some bands like when Maserati when he was doing it with Maserati, or not Jesse, but I'm talking about when Maserati was trying to do the effeminate thing and the pearls. It was just too much. It was like
it was too much. Yeah,
it was too much.
that,
Too much.
I honestly thought that too, and I know all those guys, the Maserati guys. Them is all my guys too, man. Yeah, I thought it was just a little bit over. I was like, yeah, it's a little bit overboard. I mean, we were still masculine, but of course we were
There's
wearing makeup. Right, but yeah, they were a little bit like, I was like, what's going on? Now I'll tell you something about them. They used to gig around Minneapolis. They grew up with us too. They know everybody, and they weren't that. They changed into that on that album.
Yeah.
Because I like their look. They kind of like were a Black Motley Crue kind of, but not so made up. But I think they were trying to just go overboard with that once they came out with their album. I felt the same way. I was like, why are they wearing so much? Like, it's too much. They doing too much, man. But them is my boys, man. Terry and I know all these cats, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, when I look back at what we used to do too, I just go, wow, like we were wearing makeup and earrings, and it's just a crazy thing we were doing. But Prince wore well too. Prince was like, I'll tell you a story about Prince one time, man. We were in LA and Prince invited us to the studio, Sunset Sound, and when we got there, he was working on When Doves Cry. Blew us away. He turned the thing on, turned up the volume, and like, wow, like, just blew us away. But anyway, after the session was done, Prince had drove his motorcycle up there, rode his motorcycle up there, and so he's like, who's driving? And we said Mark Cardenas is driving. Mark had borrowed his brother's van from L.A. when we got out here. It was a pea green 1960 something. Volkswagen van.
Told the story.
So, did he tell the story?
He did tell the story. Yeah, people haven't watched that interview yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Like, and so Prince is like, "Who's driving?" We're like, "Mark Cardenas." He's like, "Okay, I need a ride." And I'm thinking, Prince needs a ride? Like, really? Like, but anyway, I remember. I think it was me or we all did it, but we said, "Man, I don't know. You may not want to get in this." This car, like, it's a pea green Volkswagen 1960, and Prince said, "I don't care what it is, let's go." And so he rode with us, man. Not only did he ride with us, he rode in the front seat.
Yeah.
And he was looking fly too. That's when he was wearing the big hoop in his ear, one ear, and I think he had a bandana on. And so I'll never forget. I'm really young and new into it, and then I never forget this limo pulled up, and I'm looking at the limo going, I wonder who's in that limo, because I'm still Minneapolis, I haven't gotten too big headed yet, so I'm looking at the limo going, I wonder who's in that limo. Oh man, I wonder what star it is, like next thing I know, all these girls out of nowhere, just out of every window, every opening in the limo, that's Prince. Oh my God, they're freaking out, and I'm like, how do they know that's him? How do they know that's not like someone that looks like Prince? Or they just knew it was him, and they start screaming. And it was my first time being with Prince and seeing fans react like that. And his reaction was really deep to me because he barely recognized it and just kept looking forward, didn't smile. He just wasn't interested. I was like, wow, this dude is used to being this kind of star like that. But I'll never forget that. Them girls were screaming, that's Prince. Oh my God, that's Prince in the front. Like, it was funny. I wish we could have got that on film, all of us in this Volkswagen Bug van.
That's what he said. He said you guys are driving.
Hilarious.
I think he remembered it being in LA. I think is where
we were in LA. Yeah, we were in LA.
He didn't share the part about the girls. He just said that Prince looked like a pirate. That's all.
And didn't I just say he had the big hoop in one ear, and he had a bandana, And to me, it was one of his flyest looks, man. It was like
Oh,
he
God.
looked real. He was so rocked out, man. I was like,
Always
this
rocked
dude,
out.
this dude's living it. Like he's like for me, like I remember Prince as a kid back in the hood. Even though I'm really a lot younger than him, but I remember seeing him playing in bands and doing his thing. And so for me, when I got in this organization, to see him on that level was just the most inspirational thing to me, because I was like, this cat came from where I'm from, and look what he did. Like, wow, it was just,
That's
it
amazing.
made me feel like I could do anything. Like I could do this. I could be on this level. Like this is crazy. Like Morris too, man. I remember Morris, man. I remember all the bands they had when they were younger, and it was just amazing to see them on that level. And I'd like to give a shout out to Morris Day, actually, to be honest with you. Morris Day is one of the best dudes, man. I'm telling you, man, like, this guy treated me like a little brother. Like, he was so good to me, man. Like, I just want to say that he is a good dude as far as I'm concerned. I don't have nothing bad to say about Morris or anybody, but Morris is my guy, man. Morris used to let me hang with him all the time, whether we were in LA or Minneapolis. We used to drive around in his white Corvette in Minneapolis. We used to drive around in his 911 red Porsche in LA. He would always say, "Hub, you want to hang? You go with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So Morris was really cool. Even though, like, I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons I say that is because I know he was hurting by the way the time broke up and, what went down. And he could have been, like, angry or saying, these new cats,
Right.
I didn't think he would see me like that, because he remembers, young Hub from the hood. But he was so good to me, man. They all were. Prince was, but Morris was a good dude, man. When I didn't have a car and Morris was like, "Yo, man, what you getting into?" I'm like, "I'm getting ready to go try to get this bus and go home." And I'm in the time, like, you know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh, man, you could ride with me, roll with me." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he always had a cold sports car. So I'll tell you this one story. One time we were in LA and we were in his 911 Porsche. I had never been in a Porsche or Ferrari or anything up to that point. And me and him were riding. I think we were in Santa Monica. I can't remember where we were. And we pulled up to a light. The same thing that happened with Prince with that limo happened with Morris when I was with Morris in his 911. We pulled up to a light, and these girls pulled up with a truck. And we sat there for a second, and I think it clicked on them, and they went, "Oh, my God, that's Morris Day." Like, they all freaked out, and they were like, "Morris, Morris." And Morris was just as cool as Prince. He turned around, he said, "Hello." And then they went, "What? Where are you going? Can you pull over, Morris, Morris?" And he's like, "Oh, y'all want to go with us?" I'll never forget this. And I'm in the passenger seat, and they said, "Yeah, where are you guys going? We want to go with you guys." And then he says, "Well, just follow me, okay?" And man, I felt, man, all I gotta say is I thought I was gonna die. he hit the pedal, and man, we took off that thing. When they say 0 to 3 or whatever in so many seconds, man. He said, "Follow me." Boom! And I was in the passenger seat like, "Oh my God, Morris, you gonna kill me, man? What you doing?" and we were up at the next light, and the girls were still at the light. They were talking to us, and I looked behind, and I said, "Morris, they're way back there." He said, "That's how it's supposed to be. Let's go." I said, I was rolling, man. I said,
"Oh my God,
man, I thought I was gonna die." That's the first time I was in a Porsche going that fast. I was like, "Oh my God!" And Morris can drive too, because when we got up to the other light, we were behind a car, and he downshifted, and that thing said, "Ooh," and I said, "Oh, where'd you learn how to drive like that, man? That's crazy."
Yeah,
man, that was a fun time, man. Morris was a good dude, though, man.
Well,
I gotta give
you need to tell him to come on the show. I've been trying to get Morris and Jesse on the show now.
We'd love to have them for real. Like
a bit.
I know. Hey, I tell everybody, if you can get Morris and Jesse, then you got, everybody else is gonna fall in line.
Yeah, well, Jesse's very, very particular about when he does interviews. So I understand that vibe with him. So, but
Yeah, he's
I'm
super
working
calculated.
for it. I mean, I am like a
Yeah.
hardcore, but that's the thing though, is that I am a hard. There's two things that I've already said publicly about Morris and Jesse is that I am like hardcore fans of them both. And if Morris ever came on the show, most of the show would not be about the time. I mean,
Right.
obviously that is part of his history, but he has such an incredible background in acting and everything that happened in his life. And I want to talk about in his solo albums, and I want to talk about Morris. That I want to talk about. I don't. And it seems like every single interview that he appears on, it's
always
same,
about the time.
it's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's the same
Yeah.
question. I'm like, people,
Right.
come on. And it would be the same way with
he-
Jesse, because with Jesse, I'm like, I mean, as I said, I have every single one of his albums. If I knew that he touched something, I would be like, I gotta have it. And that was that type of person with Jesse. So, that's how it.
Well,
That's how they feel.
well, hopefully now that I've done it, like when we start firing up this Jesse thing, because I'm officially gonna be doing the new Jesse thing. Like me and him are very excited about being
Yeah.
back together.
No, I'm excited too. I can't wait.
So-
I gotta know what it is.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
I
of-
can't wait. And then I'm gonna talk to him and say, hey man, we should go on there and just do funk. What is it, Funk Utopia or
Yeah, Funkatopia. Yeah, man.
Funkatopia? Yeah, we should go on there, man, and just maybe you can get us when we start doing that thing. And I'm
All
gonna do my
about it.
best because this was nice. I really appreciate you inviting me on, man. This is very nice. And yeah, man. I mean, if you can get Morris and Jesse, like they're hard to get, but they're like Prince kind of. They protect their brand.
Yeah.
They want
Yep.
things to be a particular way, and I mean, you do see a lot of stuff on the internet, and I wonder if some people think, "Wow, I shouldn't have did that, or I should have waited, or maybe I should have had better lighting, or you know what I mean." So
Right.
yeah, so like you gotta protect your brand, and today the internet's unforgiving, man. They'll roast you on here.
They will roast you completely. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching something with Babyface the other day, and I'm like, I'm a huge fan of Babyface. I love Babyface and what he does, and
Hmm.
we're all getting older. And he walked into a place, and all the comments were like, "Oh, he's getting old," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's a legendary producer, and that's what we do. We get older, and
You get older.
Oh,
I'm like, why are we discussing that? Let's discuss how clean he is, and he's getting an award. Like, I mean, so the internet's unforgiving, man. They'll roast you for no reason. Like, I'm scared of the internet. I told Jesse, I'm scared of the internet.
it's brutal. I had a
it's
question
brutal.
from the internet, and we'll make this one of the closing ones, because I know we're getting close on time here. But Derek Deshawn says Jerry Hubbard was in Jesse's Crazy video. Ask him if he experienced meeting Sly Stone on that video shoot.
Oh my gosh, that was I'm gonna tell you something. That was one of the highlights of my whole career with this whole Minneapolis thing, and meeting Sly Stone, meeting Miles Davis,
Yeah.
and there's one more I can't think right now, but those two. But yes, we hung out with Sly, and I tell you a thing that happened with Sly that I will never forget and cherish forever. We were in the green room waiting to get called back to do another scene for the video or whatever. And in the green room, we were listening to a song me and Jesse had cut called "Drive Your Cadillac." It was the B side of, I think it was the B side of Crazy. Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
So I wrote that song, and
What?
I wrote that song, and Jesse loved the song, and he says, I want to use this. I didn't write the lyrics. Of course, I didn't write his guitar parts, but I wrote the music. So it was a little groove I was working on, and he said, I want to take this. I want to use this. I said, okay, cool. So that ended up being Drive Your Cadillac. So we're in the green room, and we're listening to that because we just got the test press or something, or it just dropped, and we got the single. So we're in the green room listening to it, and Sly Stone walks past the green room, and then he gets past the door, and then he leans back, and he goes, "Ooh, that's funky. Who's that?" I swear to God, I was like,
Yes.
I was like, what? And so I didn't want to start talking too much, but the rest of the band said, "Oh, the bass player, our bass player wrote that." And Jesse said, "Yeah, me and the bass player did that." And Sly's like, "Ooh, that's funky." And then he walked off, and I said, "Sly Stone just said something like, I
Yes.
think it was Jesse funky, man." I was like, what? But it was, man, it was, and let me tell you, Sly was a big part of my life and my family. My family loved him. I don't know who in the world didn't love him, but his songs were played in my house as a kid. And
Yeah.
just to be in the presence of him was amazing. It was amazing, man. I couldn't
Right.
believe it. I also hung out with Larry Graham too, and
Oh,
I had the fortune to hang out with Larry Graham through Jackie Thompson. I don't know if you ever heard of Jackie Thompson out at Paisley Park. Yeah, so
I know Jackie.
she's good friends with Larry Graham, and she introduced me to Larry and Tina, and Larry's a good dude too. And like I said, when I was a kid, I used to stare at Larry Graham Central Station's albums and
me too.
just go, wow, Larry is like he's legend. Like, and I couldn't believe I got a chance to play his bass and his rig out at Paisley too.
Oh, oh God.
And it was like butter. It was like, man, how can I just have this? Like, his bass was so easy to play, and it was just beautiful, man. But Larry's a good dude too. So to be around those legends, like, and it all happened because of Jesse and Prince, and just putting me in that space. And I met Miles Davis at Paisley Park. I was out at Paisley.
New Year's Eve.
No, I don't even. I think I was just out at Paisley, just hanging, or when I can't remember when. No. You know what it was? It was when Prince was doing the Love Sexy. He was doing the shows in Minneapolis, but after the shows, he was doing after parties at Paisley. And Miles Davis was walking around out there, and I was out there at the after party. George Clinton was there. They were all there. I think that was my first time meeting George Clinton too. I mean, I'm meeting all these guys. I used to sit in my room and just stare at the records. And you know what I'm thinking to myself? Prince is doing the same thing, but only on his level. These guys are admiring Prince. I said, wow, he must be in heaven. You got Stevie Wonder, Miles Davis, George Clinton. These guys are all saying Prince is the deal. And I'm like, Prince used to look at all their records and listen to this shit all day. Like,
right? Exactly.
It's amazing, man. Like,
man.
And I told Miles, I said, Miles, man, I don't want to bug you. And I'm with Prince. I'm in, he said, I know you are. I don't think he did, but he said, I know you are. Don't worry. I said, but man, when I see Miles Davis, I gotta say hi, see if I can get an autograph. And he said, it's all good, man. He started talking to me. I didn't really know what he was saying, but it was just good to talk to him, man. So I mean, and all that happened through Prince, man. Prince treated me great too. Prince never said anything negative to me about anything. It was always positive. It was always to tell me keep working, keep going. And I'll tell you one story before I let you go, Avi. I know you got to get off.
No,
we were in LA. We were in LA and we were shooting the Ice Cream Castle video, and it was my first time in the LA heat in the valley, because where we shot it was in the valley.
Brutal.
I'm used to Minnesota heat where it's sweaty and humid, that
Right.
Midwest. So we're up in the valley. It's hot. If you look at the Ice Cream Castle album, you can kind of see in my face. I kind of got that look like I'm not happy. Like, so I'm walking around up there and I'm going, this heat is brutal. It's like sitting in the oven. I had never felt that kind of heat, And so I remember Prince coming up to me. He said, "Hub, you all right, man?" I said, I'm good, man. I said, "But this heat." He said, "Oh yeah, you ain't used to this, huh? Minnesota's heat is different." I said, "Yeah, it's different." He said, "Man, well, if you're really hot and you want to cool down, why don't you go sit in my limo?" And I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, man, it's always running and it's always cool." I said, "Oh man, that's so cool." I said, "I'm gonna go sit in there." So I went to his limo and I sat in there, man. I did not want to leave. I'll never forget. They had to come and get me.
Right.
I got in that mug. I said, man, there's a TV. There's cold drinks. It was the chair was like a couch. I said, oh man, Prince is, man, he's doing things big up in here. I'm sitting in that thing like this. The driver's just sitting up front waiting for Prince whenever he wants to go or whatever he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to come.
Limo in
They
1984. Wow.
What'd you say?
The TV in the limo in 1984. That's
Man, he had a TV in that joint. It was like an entertainment. Like I was like, you could live in here, I think, man.
Right.
So they knocked on the door. And they said, Jerry, come on, man, we need you. What are you doing? I said, all right, I'm coming right now. And I sat there for like another minute, and then I got out, and the heat hit me, and I went, oh, this is brutal. But I mean, we shot that video, the Ice King Castle video. We shot it all day, all the way through the night. So it was a long video shoot. Plus, we combined the record, the album cover with the video. So we did all that in one day. And it was, man, that heat was, man, I can't even, I feel it now because I'm out here now, and I go up there now and I go, I remember this. Like
flashback.
Yeah, you can get 110 or easy up there, man. It's just really, really hot. But yeah, Prince, that's the type of stuff Prince would do for me, man. He would just, go sit in my limo, man. If you want to cool down, that type of thing. And I remember whenever we were done rehearsing, I was young and just hungry. Everyone else was kind of jaded. So when Prince said rehearsal's over, cats was like gone, because they knew Prince. Like if you stay too long with Prince, he'll have you here till tomorrow. But I would hang and I would go, like I would always just linger around, and Prince would go, oh, you want to hang, man? So I had a lot of opportunities to hang with Prince one-on-one, and it was just great, man. Like I remember one time he let me hang, and he was waiting for the Revolution to come and rehearse, and he played piano for like an hour with me just sitting there by myself.
Wow.
And I'm listening to him, and I'm thinking, this stuff he's playing is amazing. Like, so I'll never forget. I tried to start talking to him. I was like, Prince, what is that? What's that chord you just played? He would not say a word to me. And I was amazed. I said, I think he's in some kind of trance or something. Like, I'm trying to talk to him. And one time he turned his head and looked at me, and he didn't say a word to me, and then turned back around and then started looking at the keys again. And then I finally realized, I said, oh no, you can't talk to him right now. Just shut up and listen. Just listen. And he played for about an hour, man, while I sat there. And I was blown out of the water because he did things on that piano that I didn't know he could do. I knew he was a bad dude, but some of that stuff was classical and jazz. And I didn't know he went that deep with that. So I was shocked.
Wow.
And then I think Brown Mark came in or something, and then the band started flowing in, and then he kind of snapped out of it. But when he was into that piano, there was no talking to him at all, man. He loved his music and loved just he went into a trance with music, man. Like
He was just downloading.
Yeah, I mean, he was just, oh my God, like everything was music. Like, man, it was a beautiful thing, man. I love to see my boys from Minneapolis. Like I said, I grew up with all of them. I was the young dude riding my bike around the hood, trying to figure out where they were playing, or they used to play talent shows at our schools and at the community centers. And just for the record, my first introduction to Prince was 1978, right before his album came out. So I think he probably was 18, maybe somewhere around there, 18, 19 or something.
Right.
And you know who introduced me to him? Sonny T. Now Sonny T was a friend of my pops. So Sonny was always over at my house. Sonny T, he was like, man, Sonny T was cool. Like him and my dad would go jam and talk music shop all day and night. So one day we were up at this park called North Commons that everybody went to in Minneapolis. and Sonny was there. I went up there one day, and I had to be about 13, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around there. And I said, Sonny, hey, what's going on, man? And Sonny always goes, what's up, little Hub? They call me Little Hub because my dad was Big Hub. What's up, Little Hub? I said, hey, man, what's going on? And then out of the blue, he says, hey, man, do you know Prince? And I said, no, I don't think I've ever formally met him. Of course, I've seen him in his bands and playing and stuff. And the next thing I know, Sonny T goes, Prince. And Prince came over. I was like, and at this time, Prince wasn't Prince yet. So he was just a cat in the hood. So he hadn't had a first record or anything out. And so he came over, and Sonny T said, Prince, man, this is Jerry Hubbard Jr. And Prince kind of looked like who's that? Like, and then so Sonny said, you know his pops, man, the jazz guitarist, Jerry Hubbard. He said, oh, okay. I see. He said, how you doing, man? And I said, oh, it's good to meet you, man. You know, and he was a man of few words. And then he ran back over to play ball because they were all balling. I was too young to ball with them, so I ran back and wherever I was playing and did my thing. But before I left, Sonny told me, he said, oh, Jerry. I said, yeah. He said, Prince is working on an album right now. He's about to drop. I said, really? And he said, yeah, he's signed to Warner Brothers. And I said, oh, okay. And at that time, I didn't understand what it was going to end up being. So it was kind of like, okay, cool, you know. And that's how I met Prince for the first time. And who would think 4 or 5 years later, I would be getting a call from him and being his thing. That's
Right.
amazing.
That's I mean, absolutely. You have led a hashtag blessed life for sure.
right.
I mean,
You know?
it's just incredible. I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing all these stories, because that's what we wanted to do. It's the 40th anniversary of this album today.
Wow.
Like literally, it was released today, 40 years ago, and it is it's magical. And I'm glad that I thought, you know, I should do. Let's see if I can get. And I'm sorry that I bugged the crap out of you for a while. I was like,
oh, that's good, man.
I said I got to get Jerry on the show. I got to see if I can get Mark Cardenas on the show. I got to Paul. I know Paul pretty well, so I was just like, I'm pretty sure Paul will be cool. And to get all three of you is just absolutely phenomenal. And just to remind everybody, I did a 1 hour interview with Mark Cardenas yesterday, and it is on YouTube right now. So if you still want to hear some more stories, there's an interview that just posted at 9 o'clock, and you can check that out. But I am so glad I got an opportunity to speak to all three of you. And Jerry, thank you so much. And please, I'm going to keep your number, and I'm going to tell you what first inkling I hear of the new Jesse stuff, I'm going to be blowing up your phone. I'm just going to tell you that.
Blowing up.
Look out. He's about to get real funky, man. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you, and it feels good to be recognized on the 40th anniversary. It blows me away, like that the work that we did it's legendary. It's classic.
Really is.
Like it's amazing. Isn't it it's in the Library of Congress now, isn't it? Purple Rain, and I mean it's amazing. Like it's amazing how legendary that movie is and what Prince was able to do, man. So I really appreciate you inviting me on, man. And hopefully I can do it again. I mean, there's more stories. I was holding back.
Oh no,
absolutely.
I can tell there's more stories. We're absolutely going to have you back on for sure.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Maybe
man.
then you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'd like to say hi to all your fans too, and who's ever listening. We really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Hopefully, you'll be seeing us visually soon, touring or doing something close by, and hopefully you come out and see us. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, positively will. He just got to start bringing some of the stuff over here to the East Coast. It's like every time I see him pop up, it's on the West Coast. I'm like, oh my God, please.
Yeah, we need some stuff.
I think we're gonna travel. I think we're gonna travel. Like, yeah,
good.
I think we're gonna try to get around, and it's time. It's time for Jesse, because when you think about it, Morris and the Time have been touring forever, and I told Jesse, it's time for you, man. Like, your fans want to see you back out there to review. Like, I don't know if you'll call it the review, but
No.
they want to see you out there. They want to hear, they want to hear it's a free world. And,
Yeah, for sure.
all that. You know what I mean?
I
You know,
want
the
to
funniest thing,
Yeah,
I
you
saw
do. I
Prince.
mean,
Did you see Prince singing that? I saw footage of Prince singing "It's a Free World." I was blown away by that. I meant to ask Jesse if he's seen that.
Yeah, he's always sneaking stuff in here and there, but
Yeah,
normally like after parties and stuff that he'll like drop
yeah,
things.
that type of stuff. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think fans are ready for Jesse to do his thing, so I'm actually looking forward to it too. And it's going to be nice to play again and just get out there because I haven't played for a while. I've been doing more studio, just recording and writing, and so it'd be good to play again and do some live stuff. But I really appreciate you guys.
Sure.
Who's your co-host? I mean,
Jeff Page.
Page?
Little quiet dude in the corner. Jeff Page. He's the quiet guy in the corner.
What's up, Jeff?
What's up?
How you doing, man? I'm like, I was waiting for him to hit me with a question, man. That's cool though, man. It's good to meet you, man. Are you a musician?
I am.
Are you? Yeah, you look like you play something. Like, what do you play?
I play a lot of instruments, but my main is the guitar.
Oh, okay,
But,
cool, man.
I play pretty much anything.
All right, man. Well, hopefully we come on the East Coast and I get to meet you guys in person. That would be great.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Jerry, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. And I hope to get you back on the show, even by yourself to share more stories or with Jesse. Either way, we don't care. We want you to come back. And thank you so much for hanging out tonight, man.
All right. Thank you too, man. Have a great night.
All right, everybody. A warm round of applause for Jerry Hubbard. Oh my word. Yeah, look at all this.
Thank
you.
you.
And if you guys missed any part of this, it will be on Spotify and iHeartRadio tomorrow, so you guys can listen to this. And of course, as soon as the video is over, you can rewatch it all over again if you want to. Jerry, thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Oh my word, guys! Listen, it's our man. What a long night. This has been fantastic. We packed a lot into a night. This is what happens when we pack a lot in.
Yeah. And again, you get those unexpected exclusive gold nuggets.
I mean, there was a lot. Jerry had a lot of nuggets. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff a lot of stories I hadn't heard at all, like ever.
Amazing.
Well, we had a couple news bulletins and the news things that we'll talk about them on Tuesday.
They'll come up then. We can wait.
We'll bring them up on Tuesday because it's still going to be. Let's just put it this way. In short, there are a couple. The screening for Purple Rain is the July 27th. That was the day that the movie was released. And there are a couple places in Minneapolis that they're doing screenings of it. Yeah, we'll go into the details of those two.
We'll go over it.
And yeah, we'll go over it and some of the other legal stuff that happened a day or so ago as well. So let's just say we got stuff to talk about, and we will talk about it on Tuesday.
Make sure you show up. That's it. Just come on out. You know where to be on Tuesday nights.
And it will be a legit free for all next Tuesday, unless you know how I work. It'll be a legit free for all. Yeah. So like the free for all was supposed to be a free for all tonight, and then I had been working really, really hard to get Jerry and Paul and Mark on the show together. And I was able to get all three of them. I mean, even though Mark is a separate thing that's on YouTube right now, it was great to get all three of them. That was a legendary get to get them all in here. And then of course, obviously, we started off the night with the legendary Taj Farrant, who is going to be a legend in this.
Yeah,
I mean,
eventually legendary. Right now,
just
unprecedented like skill. Like he's.
I mean, just ridiculous. So it's been quite a night. I might have to separate the Taj part and this part when I launch it tomorrow because it's a pretty hefty piece of
I will say he's a future legend for sure.
oh my gosh. Yes. And I hope everybody does well. We will talk. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I know we would love to hang out with you guys in the post show like we normally do. But man, we've been here a while. So we're going to go ahead and call it. And we will see you on Tuesday for the free for all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to support Funkatopia. Please visit patreon.com/Funkatopia. That's patreon.com/Funkatopia. Because as you know, we have an ASCAP licensed radio station that is online. There's an app that actually has the shows that we do. You can actually listen to them on our own app. We have an app called Uptown Radio. It's called Funked Up, but we have 2 radio stations that are on there too. They're ASCAP licensed. So between all the gear and everything that we need to do and the shows and the apps and everything else, we need your support. So patreon.com/Funkatopia. There's also some really cool files and stuff up there. And there's some files that are going to be uploaded here this week too. And if you can only do one-time donations, that's cool. We got Venmo and Cash App, both Funkatopia, Funkatopia. So again, thank you so much for hanging out and supporting us. And man. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Lisa says Funkatopia gets the best interviews. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you on Tuesday for an actual free-for-all that will probably become something else entirely. But for right now, it's a free-for-all. See you Tuesday. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.